In the wrestling world, the people are represented by two separate but unequally important groups. The wrestlers and bookers, who literally do all the hard work, and the fans, who endlessly nitpick and overanalyze everything they do. These are their stories. Welcome to Raw and Order, the wrestling booking unit, the only wrestling podcast on the planet that decided to go live Sunday night after watching 3 huge nights of wrestling, and we're tired, and we're going to talk about what went wrong and what went right. I am your host, Detective Mark Smarks, and I am joined, as always, by my partners in crime fighting. Starting off, District Attorney Vincent K. Fabe, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm just pumped. So we're going to Zello Pro in a couple weeks. Yeah, obviously, we're going to talk a lot about some big wrestling, but we're going to Zello Pro in a couple weeks. I got a special shirt just for autographs where I can show the gun show. Yeah. I'm pretty pumped about it.
Thanks to me.
This isn't the shirt I should wear.
This isn't the shirt. Well, I mean, you can wear that if you want to, but we got a different special shirt. To autograph up. It's right now on the merch store. Go there, autograph shirt designed by yours truly. You can take to any
with
wrestling
input
show.
From others, like JLB, not me. I'm worthless.
I didn't say no input, but I still designed it.
Yes.
Don't take that away from me. But yes, you can go to our merch store. Links in the doobly-doos for the merch store, and you can get that shirt for whatever wrestling show that you're going for. Yeah, it has plenty of room for autographs on it. Take it there, fill it out, have them sign it, have them doodle on it, do whatever. And then you can hang it up, you can wear it proudly, you can display it. Great way to remember whatever show you go to, whether it's Zello Pro or Summerslam or whatever league is in your area, or Rampage or whatever. Also joining us from up north, JLB. What's going on, man?
Hey, nothing much, man. Nothing much. For the record, input or no input, that was all you, bud. Genius on the design, so kudos to you there.
Thank you.
Welcome. But maybe we could sell markers with that too or something, because I think that would be like the perfect bundle. But I doubt it. I think it's just a t-shirt shop. So
can you tell by my hand that I'm fat?
Yes,
I didn't.
You can tell by your hand that you're 100%.
But yeah, just a lot of wrestling this week. A lot of back and forth between dirt sheets and what went on, and trying to figure out why that went on at a certain SummerSlam. Just really hectic weekend. I did no designing for school this weekend, and I'm blaming it on wrestling. I mean, not because I procrastinate, but because of wrestling.
That's normal. I blame almost everything on wrestling.
It's valid. But yeah, I'm ready to start this. It is, what award show are we doing it for? We're doing it for
we're just covering the whole weekend. This is our SummerSlam weekend extravaganza. And because of that, I'm going to say we're going to take some moment at the beginning to address an elephant in the room that will need to be addressed. It's going to need to be addressed there. Before we get into that, though, I'd like to take a moment to remind everyone that Raw and Order is part of the Tatnus Co. podcast network. So you can head on over to tatnusco.com. Link is in the doobly-doo for that. And you can listen to other podcasts in the network, see what else there, learn a little bit more about Tatnus, and all of that. So head on over there. But yeah, we'll get into it. Before we get into talking about the weekend, which primarily is going to be the WWE side of things, SummerSlam and NXT. That's the main thing we're going to talk about. We do have to address the huge event that happened on Friday. Much rumored, much talked about, much discussed, but CM Punk's return to wrestling on Friday Night Rampage. We have to discuss that a bit because AEW did absolutely everything right with that. Everything was perfect for it. They didn't make people tuning in wait. I was worried about that because, I was probably 90% certain that he was going to show up. Like, I had made it to that. I was like, they've made all the hints. They booked this. We've talked about it even on this show. They booked a 25,000 seat arena, the largest indoor arena in America. They hinted and dropped hints, and Kenny Omega wore Cookie Monster shirts and Chick Magnet shirts and all of these shirts hinting at CM Punk's arrival, and they dropped promos, Darby Allin calling out the best in the world, and everything, and MJF talking using exact phrases from the pipe bomb, things like that. They dropped so many hints that I was
CM Punk being a football commentator or UFC MMA commentator and releasing hints there. Then the football commentator released hints as well. So
with all of those hints, I was like, Tony Khan's not an idiot. He knows if he hints that much that CM Punk is going to be there, and then books this huge arena in Chicago, CM Punk's hometown, and then CM Punk doesn't show up, that, to use a phrase from Tiger King, he's not going to financially recover from that. And so I was like 90.
I really thought you were going to say Carol Baskin's that fucking bitch. I really thought that's where you were going. I was like, what?
That bitch, Carol Baskins.
I was like, how's that tie in?
No, he would not financially recover from that.
And to be fair, I feel like Carol Baskin, that fucking bitch, always ties into any scenario.
Now, I mean, that being said, here's the deal: is Tony Khan and his family are worth billions. He would be fine financially, but AEW would suffer a huge setback if they made all of these hints that CM Punk was going to come, and then suddenly didn't deliver on it, right?
And then it's Braun Strowman with a deep dish Chicago-style pizza.
There's only a few ways they could have done it and not absolutely whiffed, and that would have been Bryan Danielson coming out to Cult of Personality. But even that would have been probably bad. So I was probably even up to 98% certain he was going to come. But there was my worry in the back of my head the entire time that they were going to make us wait all the way until the end. And there was going to be like a minute left on the clock, and then his music would hit, and he was just going to come out onto the stage and be like, I'm back, and that was it. Right? And they didn't. They didn't make us wait at all. It was first thing on the show. Pyro hit. They're talking, what's going to happen? They panned to the crowd, and they did, like I said, everything was so perfect on it. Because they let the crowd chant CM Punk for a bit. They mic'd the crowd heavily for the CM Punk chants. They panned through the crowd looking at the stage. And then you heard Cult of Personality start. And the pop was so loud, you couldn't hear the song.
Correct.
Well, to be fair, I think there was also sound issues throughout the show. Because even sometimes the mic was a bit like it felt far away. Like it wasn't mic'd up properly. It was bad audio production, I still feel. Because all the music was still bad.
I didn't notice that on most of the other ones. But the big thing with this, like I said, I heard the first notes of it. And then the crowd went crazy, and I couldn't hear anything. Except for, I mean, like literally, you heard the crowd hit so high that they had to turn down the volume of the crowd because they were too loud. And then they sent him out there to the ring. He came out. He was CM Punk. He did his kneeling on the ramp.
Did he say clobbering time? He didn't, huh?
He said something, but it wasn't mic'd enough for us to tell whether he said clobbering time or not. I don't know. But he got up, he did his thing, and then he came to the ring. He crowd surfed a bit.
He did, yep.
He went around and had fun with the crowd. And then he got in, and they gave him a mic for 17 minutes. Right? And they just said, speak. You are a professional. You know what you need to say. We brought you in. You're hyping up that you're back and everything. You're hyping up that there's going to be a match with you and Darby Allin. Do what you do. which was perfect, which was exactly what they needed to do. Right? They didn't overscript him. They didn't constrain him. They did have to pay for it later in some of the matches. Some of the matches they had to either rush, which was fine, like the Jade Cargill versus Kiera Hogan match. Unfortunately, I feel they had to rush that.
Yeah, they definitely really rushed that a lot.
I think they probably wanted to give that 5 to 10 minutes, and they ended up giving it like 3 to 5 minutes,
Right.
if even that, which is sad because Kiera Hogan really does deserve a little bit more of a run to show off what she can do. I followed her in Impact Wrestling, and she's really, really good. But
yeah, she got destroyed.
She got destroyed
against Jade Cargill.
Jade Cargill. I like I said, I 100%
depends on your build. She can recover from that build.
For me, I would have just preferred there to be an 8-minute match and then she loses. I'm not angry about how she lost. I just think she could have shown a little bit more to the crowd, so the uninitiated AEW fans would be able to see it and go, "Oh, I see she can do some good stuff." And they didn't give her.
Canadian smark was all, I can't believe that or lose. It was Jade Cargill, bro.
No, but I'm saying this is the first time we see Hogan on Rampage, right?
No. In fairness, I've said this before. They booked themselves into this corner. They could have had Jade Cargill destroy all one, and they decided to have Jade Cargill destroy a brand new debuting on Dynamite, or on Rampage, debuting on TV star. And there are people that they could have had her destroy instead, but it's fine. Like I said, I wish they would have given more, but I understand what's going on. And the thing is, there's a feud that they can build out of it. Kiera Hogan still got some offense in before Jade Cargill destroyed her. Although I do want to give a little bit of criticism to the announce team, because Jade Cargill put Kiera Hogan up for what anyone who's followed wrestling for a while knows is the Glam Slam, which Jade Cargill has used before. And on commentary, they're like, "Oh, she hit her with that weird front face thing. I've never seen that before." It's the Glam Slam. It's been before. I understand if you don't want to openly mention the other company, but at the same point, you call it a sharpshooter when some people do it. You know, it's the simple fact is it's got a name for it. And here's the if Jade Cargill wants to give it her own name, then fine, give it her own name and call it that. But don't just call it weird,
or call it a generic name. Yeah, you can't even. You have to just say, double underhook front slam. That would be fine, but you have to say it fluidly. You can't stumble over.
The thing is, it's a finisher. It's Jade Cargill's finisher. So she either needs to give it a name or just call it the Glam Slam, because that's obviously where she got it from. The first person I remember ever seeing do it
was Beth.
Beth Phoenix.
It was Beth Phoenix.
And she called it the Glam Slam. So just don't shy away and just use it. Anyways. But that match obviously suffered because of the CM Punk. They had to probably shorten that. I'm sure the other matches had to be shortened in some ways to make up for because it was a 1-hour show and they gave more than a quarter of the runtime, almost a third of the runtime of the show to CM Punk to talk. And they had to make up for it in other ways, but it was the perfect re-debut. So I wanted to spend a little bit at the beginning talking about this debut of CM Punk and say it was a huge moment. Ratings reportedly are in the 1.1 million for Rampage,
nice.
That's like a 300,000+
jump
from previous in 1 week. So.
The other thing I do want to say, since we brought up Rampage, and I know I said it the week before, but God, I love 1-hour wrestling shows.
It was really
just
it's
better.
I like the 2 hour because it's about the right time. 3 hours great for pay-per-views. 4 hours fine for pay-per-views.
But every Monday for 3 hours just is not.
And I think one part that at least needs to be said, the caveat on this is it doesn't matter if it's 1 hour, 2 hour, or 3 hour. If it's bad wrestling and if it's bad TV, it's gonna suck. The way Raw's been written recently, even if it was a 30-minute show, I'd still probably hate it.
Well, if it was written the same, however, if you shorten it up, sometimes you do better writing because you're fitting that in more organically.
What I would argue is the Twitter or Vine mentality for things. Both Twitter and Vine came along and they said, hey, we're going to put constrictions, on what people can use this for. And we feel that'll make them be more concise and more creative with it. When you only have 6 seconds to tell a story on Vine, or when you only have 140 characters to do it on Twitter, it forced you to be creative on how you told the story. And then Vine eventually made it longer and then went away, and now TikTok's here, and they did 15-second and 60 seconds, and now they have 3 minutes. And I can tell you on TikTok, 3 minutes.
They have 3 minutes?
Yes. And 3-minute videos feel every minute of 3 minutes. Like,
I bet. It's a bit much.
When you watch a 15-second TikTok, you're like, yeah, this is fun and entertaining, and it goes quick, and boom. When you watch a 60-second one, you're like, okay, I get it. And you get a 3 minutes, you're like...
Damn. I didn't read that. Is that a new update? I totally didn't even read it.
It's been within the last couple months.
I feel like that was Bischoff's idea.
Yeah.
You have 3 minutes.
3-minute warning.
Minutes. But anyways, and so yes, by constraining them down to 1 hour, it forces them to be more creative on what they do. Constraining you down to 2 hours helps. 3 hours. Nick Khan on a interview call this week says he wants to stretch Raw to 4 hours, and I cried when I heard that.
I won't. People won't stay for it. That 4th hour will be atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
And if it starts at 6 Central, which is 5 in JLB's time, 5 p.m. JLB's time.
Yeah, other way around. If it's 6 for you, it's 7.
Yeah, sorry.
One job.
7 your time. 7 to 1 a.m. Would you watch it?
No.
Or 7 to 11?
No. I can barely do the 3 hours. I'm honestly on my phone half the time because I really don't give a shit. I'd rather watch a highlight video or whatever have you because I can't. SmackDown I could do 2 hours. Honestly, 2 hours is my limit now. I can't do 3 hours stuff anymore. AEW's Rampage being an hour was a bit quick for me. But at the end of the day, I knew it was just a CM Punk scenario. I did like the Luchasaurus and Private Party match. I thought, the Jurassic Express Private Party match. The Moxley match, I totally forgot who he fought, but was okay too. Like Daniel Garcia was decent. It's just a bit quick. It's just a bit quick. That's the only thing.
And that's the deal. Both of those matches, I think, suffered because of the CM Punk. Because I think both of them, I think all 3 of the matches were designed to be a little bit longer. And
I think Khan, no ifs, ands, or buts, wants 3 matches on every 1 hour show, which is fine.
Yeah.
But then you get, when you have an event like CM Punk showing up, you're going to have those be shorter. I do want to throw in this to Nick Khan. If you go to 4 hours, first 2 hours needs to be Raw, second 2 hours needs to be NXT, and get rid of NXT on Tuesday nights. That's the only reason to do that.
That might be what. Well, that might be it with the
rebranding,
right? So,
but you have to shut down and restart, and it has to look different. It has to be different because, quite frankly, I can enjoy 3 hours of wrestling on Friday nights. SmackDown's the best main roster product that WWE puts out, and it was enjoyable-ish. And Rampage was great. So I can do 3 hours of wrestling in a night. I can't do 3 hours of the same show in a night. where the storylines move around. I want to know what storylines I'm getting for that 2 hours. It's tough to do an Avengers movie for 3 hours. Like
they do it.
I'll sit
They
through
do
it.
a good job.
Yeah, I'll sit through it and I like it. But there are times where you're like, man, this should have been 2 movies.
Right.
And that happens a lot on 3-hour movies. Yeah.
So like I said, the 3 matches did obviously suffer by having to condense a bit. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more out of Daniel Garcia before he lost to Moxley. But here's the deal: it's as good as he is, he's been phenomenal on Dark and Elevation. The simple fact is he wasn't going to beat Moxley.
Right.
That's just you're going to lose, right? And so I would have liked to have seen a little bit more out of him, but obviously time constraints. The same thing with the Jurassic Express versus Private Party.
That was still a fun match, though.
It was
I
still
think
a fun match. It
It
could have used another 30 seconds to a minute before the ending to really flesh it out. But obviously, just shorten things up.
I think
this was a
actually
CM
needed
Punk
another
show.
2 minutes to that because we needed 30 more seconds of Marco Stunt and Matt Hardy. 2 more 15-second segments or 2 or 3 more 10-second segments.
So, but anyways, in the end, the CM Punk part was perfect. It did leave at least the opening. I mean, it would have been really cool to have opened with CM Punk, and then at the end of the Moxley match,
CM Punk then comes out there and kind of faces off with him. That would have been better.
I see. I wouldn't have preferred not CM Punk because we're setting up a CM Punk versus Darby thing. Whatever. I would have preferred at that point we hear another music hit, and it's Bryan Danielson come out and have
No, yeah, they can wait on him.
That's too much for one show. Yeah,
I think it would have thrown the entire internet wrestling community into an absolute tantrum. But that's why,
for sure.
Because here's the deal: is they were all prepared for one debut, and you get 2 in one night, and they would have not known. And that's why I would have liked to have seen it. Because here's the deal: Bryan Danielson shows up next week, 2 weeks,
No
3
beard
weeks.
love.
What?
You're wrong.
3 weeks, 4 weeks. Now he's always going to have to compete with this CM Punk pop, and so might as well get it out of there. But here's the deal: you have him come out and immediately get into something with a major player, right?
And he'll get the pop, bro. It's Bryan Danielson. He'll get that pop.
He'll get the pop. He won't get CM Punk level pop. He won't get CM Punk in Chicago level pop.
No.
Where's Daniel Bryan from? Maybe Daniel Bryan will get it if they're at his hometown. I don't know, but obviously
up in
he was
Oregon.
Chicago.
Don't you know? They always make
Washington State.
Washington State. Yeah, excuse me.
Washington
They always
State,
talked about it, right? But no, the simple fact is, as much as people love him and everything, CM Punk set the bar up to here for Wrestling Returns this year, and I don't think anyone is going to hit that. And so, this
I don't think anybody
hit it.
ever has.
Becky kind of hit it.
Flair in
Becky
North
wasn't.
Carolina did not hit that.
Mhm.
Flair back from injury when he broke his
and that's
back.
my
Storyline broke his back against
I agree.
Vader.
I agree.
Didn't hit that. That is the biggest pop of all time. So
which is why my point is we get it out of the way and we get him back, because now we've got 2 weeks till All Out, right? 3 weeks, I think. 3 weeks till All Out. No, 2 weeks. 2 weeks is right. Anyways,
2
weeks till All Out. If you have 2 major debuts on one night, right, that immediately puts All Out, even though All Out was already one of the hottest tickets in the game, that immediately puts All Out at the top of the list. But the longer you wait for Bryan Danielson to come up, the more it mutes his
I'm
debut.
gonna throw you a little something. How'd that work out for you on SummerSlam?
What do you mean?
2 big pop returns. Two
one
big
of them that I
debuts.
didn't give a crap about. I never give a crap about.
But okay, so you can say it, but there is the law of diminishing returns, it devalues. You're wrong on that one.
No, you we can disagree on this, and that's fine. But I'm going to point out that for most people, they would say the two returns at SummerSlam were huge, and that it was big return versus and big
it
return.
made them the pay-per-view. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's the best SummerSlam." I'm like,
exactly.
Why?
Two
Becky
big
and Brock
returns made it. Because here's the thing. I'm gonna go out on. I'm just gonna go out and give my overall review. SummerSlam overall for me.
Yeah.
B minus.
Whoa.
C plus.
There were some good matches.
B minus C plus.
But there were a fair amount of matches that I didn't care about. Didn't care one way or another about. And then there were things happened that just meh to me. Meh.
There was a lot of extras between like the Olympians and then like the Miz thing. Although I really enjoyed Xavier's Scott Hall thing, Razor Ramon thing. That was awesome. But yeah, just a lot of extra crap too. That was weird. Yeah, I don't know. But meh, C plus. That's kind of my thing.
But for a lot of people, those two debuts, those two returns at it, made that show. To a lot of people, those two returns took it from a B plus to an A plus. I've been on Twitter, I've been on TikTok, I've been on YouTube, and for a lot of people, we are in the minority, being nonplussed by it. A lot of people,
if it wasn't huge. A squash fest, Becky's wasn't a squash fest.
So
that might have helped.
My argument about Rampage is actually supported by SummerSlam because the crowd reaction was bigger for it. Now, in the end, again, I point out that the pop for CM Punk is historic levels, and no other wrestler is going to get that, right? And just like D.A. Fabe mentioned, we can't hold any other wrestler up to it, and I get it, right? We're talking about a person who was gone for 7 years and said he was never going to wrestle again. And for him to come back.
Yeah, I mean, the closest we had to that was Edge coming back at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. And
that's probably, and I would legitimately say that's the biggest return.
Yeah.
We knew Roman, if cancer went into remission, Roman was going to be back. We also knew that he filmed the movie, so his cancer had gone into remission. We even knew Daniel Bryan, if he was going to come back, was going to come back to WWE, and said, "I'm coming back." Like it was. Edge was, oh my God, he's here and he's in a match. Like that's the only pop that's even as close.
Yeah, and ever. so I point out, I jumped out of my seat when Becky Lynch came back, and if it had been anyone other than fucking Brock Lesnar showing up, I would have probably jumped out of my seat for that. It's the fact that it was Brock Lesnar showing up.
Oh fuck, I love Brock Lesnar.
I've
with that ponytail.
I've said before, I like Brock Lesnar. I like Brock Lesnar in certain situations, and that situation is coming in and throwing little guys around. And so, if he'd have come out after the fucking Mysterios match and threw the Mysterios around for a bit, I would have been a happy camper. But
this is the right short-term feud.
Yeah,
He's not going to be back for a while. Heyman there, it's the right feud. That's why I'm jacked about it.
And the thing is, I'm not. We've seen Brock versus Roman before. And yes, it wasn't heel Roman, and I get it and all of that stuff. But this is a feud we've seen before.
But not with Heyman in the middle, though, and Heyman playing awesome. That's going to be the exciting part.
Maybe
even the other time we saw Brock versus Heyman was when Heyman turned on him for Big Show. Heyman turned. Heyman didn't turn. Heyman didn't do anything. He just went, "Oh shit!" Now I'm in between.
I'm going to point out that this is where I'm going to differ, but it does not make it more exciting to me.
Okay, well
they could announce tomorrow that there's going to be a Paul Heyman on a pole match at Extreme Rules, and I'd be like, meh.
we're at the double CM Punk's promo part of the podcast, so I am going to throw one last little bit here. Law of diminishing returns. If you do this with Daniel Bryan, it ruins Daniel Bryan's long-term pop. You've got to wait till after AEW's the pay-per-view. You've got to wait till after the pay-per-view,
or at least at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, without a match.
You can kind of do it at the end without a match.
I think in this case it could have been amplification, because here's the deal: when you have people at this level and you surprise them even more, right? They at this point after CM Punk, they didn't think there were any more surprises to be had, and you pull out another surprise, it could have put people over the top. Right?
But who cares? They
I'm
already
saying.
sold tickets.
Yeah.
They already sold tickets.
Yeah,
for CM
I'm
Punk.
sorry.
This is again. This is
I'm gonna
not about tickets. This is about pay-per-view buys, right?
I'm 3 lines of coke into this, and the 4th line is not going to fucking do it. I'm sorry, and I'm not saying that I actually do coke. I'm saying that
Metaphor.
CM Punk is that level of high that another high is not going to do anything for you. That's where
he's saying more for pay-per-view buys. That's it. I get what he's saying with the pay-per-view buys.
This is all about, because here's the deal: the pay-per-view sold out
anyways. It's sold out.
The pay-per-view sold out. So all CM Punk coming back. We talked about this 3 weeks ago and 4 weeks ago. CM Punk coming back is about driving. Hey, you cannot get tickets to this pay-per-view, right? CM Punk's going to be at this, and it's already sold out. The only way you can see this is to buy it on pay-per-view. Right, to make this the #1 top-selling AEW pay-per-view of all time, the buy rate to be huge, right?
And it will be, right? But it could be bigger, and that's the deal. Is it always could be bigger, and that's all I'm saying. Is this is all about pay-per-view buys for this one, and having Daniel Bryan debut at the pay-per-view does not add to pay-per-view buys. It adds to next pay-per-view buy, but so does him debuting beforehand, right? But if you have him debut next week, it's just going to be, meh. And so that's why I say if they could have pulled the trigger on both of them at one time, I really do think it could have been so huge, right? I will tell you, this is where the economist in me comes into play. I think CM Punk is enough that at $50 you can get 60, and you'll get all of that, and it won't start diminishing your buys. I think Daniel Bryan would have raised you $70 on your pay-per-view, and it would have increased your buys so minimal that it wouldn't have done anything.
I don't think they changed the price of the pay-per-view because Daniel Bryan comes.
But I mean, that's the only way to make it economically more beneficial, in my opinion, is if because I don't think
they did that for the ticket sales.
I think you're going to get the maximum number of buys out of this already.
I think you can always get more buys. You always can.
Well, right? I mean, you can, but they don't need
a negligible amount. Such a small, negligible amount.
I've had my friends who are cheap fucks, and no offense to my friends who are listening to this, who won't buy the pay-per-view. They'll just find the stream and whatever have you. And they're like, hey, by the way, where can I go buy the pay-per-view? Because I actually don't want any interruptions and whatever have you. And I'm like, oh yeah, here you can go here. I've had 4 of my friends say that to me.
And my point is, yes, that so CM Punk did that, but there is a huge contingent of Bryan Danielson fans out there who are waiting for an excuse to do the same thing.
Yeah, I think if they feel like there's a chance he shows up at this pay-per-view, they're still going to buy it.
Because that mystery is still there, right? We're hearing Daniel Bryan. Yeah, we're he'll be at All Out.
At a chance. Did these same friends who are now buying this pay-per-view because CM Punk is going to be there, right? Did they buy the previous pay-per-view? Because he was rumored to show up at previous pay-per-views. He's been rumored to show up at almost every pay-per-view since AEW started, right?
Right.
But they didn't, right? They didn't buy because of the chance of him showing. They bought because he is showing. And that's where this drives buys, is by knowing that Daniel Bryan is showing. right?
I think it
just
also
don't
helps
that's
that
what
it's the
comes up.
WrestleMania. It's AEW's WrestleMania pay-per-view, so it's like you have to have something big, So, but for sure,
Yeah.
CM Punk definitely did that for them.
So that's all I'm saying is I think that this could have driven more bikes. But here's the deal: we're not here to argue about this because this is actually our aside before we get
Apparently
to the
we are.
actual thing, and we've talked for 30 minutes on it. So let us move on.
You've talked for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
all have said words.
Lord knows that Smarks is never, ever, 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 ever going to be like, all right, it could be either way. It's always for Smarks going to be, I'm right.
I didn't say I'm right.
You didn't
I
say
just
he's
said
right. You just said we're wrong.
I didn't even say you're wrong. I say
know,
I
I'm
believe
teasing.
one way, but in the end, I said we could talk about this for hours and everything, but we've already talked for 30 minutes. Let's get on to what we came here for.
SummerSlam!
Which is the SummerSlam weekend. SummerSlam and NXT.
TakeOver 36.
So now we're going to get into the actual review. Now, if you are new to this podcast, we do our we do our reviews a little differently. We don't go down match by match and talk about the match and hey, how do we think about this one? We tried that for a while.
9 hours.
It would take 9 hours, and we tried it before, and frankly, it really wasn't all that fun.
9 hours.
Yeah, it wasn't all that fun. There are other podcasts that go down that one by one and everything. We take a different tact, and we go and we talk about the worst of the night, and then we talk about the best of the night. And so some matches might not actually get talked about because if they're neither the worst or the best, we might not actually talk about them. It's actually not a bad thing if we don't talk about a match because it means it was middle of the road. But in the end, we're going to talk about the worsts first, right? So we are going to move into everything here with worst match of the night. We're starting out, and I say night, but this is actually all weekend. This includes SummerSlam and NXT. What was the worst match, in your opinion, out of all of the NXT or SummerSlam matches?
Usos Championship.
Usos Championship match. Okay. Elaborate. Why? What made that the worst?
It was just routine. It was early in the show. It was routine. Number one, really, mostly it was the fact that Ray and Dominic were on the other side of them. It just wasn't a great.
I will agree with that. Now,
it's
I
redundant.
will point
We've
out
seen it before.
It was about halfway through the show, just to be certain. But
okay, well, it wasn't before things got really great. Like watching Bill Goldberg maybe be injured for wrestling ever again.
Yeah.
God damn it, it's kayfabe, isn't it?
Yep.
I don't know. I feel like an injury angle was planned, but I kind of feel like maybe that injury was more legitimate than they want to let on.
Well,
because
83-year-old men can't take that kind of beating,
Yeah, because usually injury angles, and we'll talk about it more at that. But usually injury angles don't come like out of nowhere, right? Yeah. They feature a whole lot of like working the knee and all of this stuff, and then the knee gets injured and whatever. And this, there was very little working of the leg, and then suddenly he can't stand.
Well, what do you mean?
No,
it was the ring post.
No, before that, it was
MVP.
MVP, and it was a really bad sell on Goldberg's behalf, and they replayed the bad sell. It took him way too long.
Yeah. No,
and then they attacked it. So it was there.
but I'm gonna point, if I'm remembering, and maybe I'm wrong on this part, but the injured leg at the end was not the leg that was hit by the cane.
No, that's true.
That I don't know.
The cane hit the left leg, and I believe the injury was on the right leg.
I don't remember which one the cane hit, but it's neither here nor there.
But either way, it was off. It was weird how he went down and was like, "Oh, I can't do it anymore."
Yes, he definitely hit something, right? I'm not saying he didn't, but I'm saying it wasn't like repeated hits to that. Like, we can talk about the Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole match, which did feature, and it didn't have an injury angle to it, but it did feature repeated targeting of a leg that ended up in the finish, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And that's why the Bill Goldberg one was a little bit weird, because they didn't tell a story of targeting the leg before the injury happened.
No, the story they're telling is the same one they told with Ray and Dominic, and that's you attacked my son.
And so I just have a feeling that the injury might be a little bit more legitimate than they planned on it being. It might not be a real legitimate long-term injury, but I have a feeling that he was like, wow, I might actually have hurt myself, so let's just rush this to the end. But no,
anyway.
I'm not going to disagree with the Usos match, because anytime, like you said, anytime Ray and Dominic are on my TV, I zone out.
Okay. We lost JLB. He'll be back. So
I'm here.
What's
man? So it's a mix. It's what?
I can't do it. I can't keep the face. I'm sorry, man.
Sorry. Sorry, what we're talking about? Oh, Ray and Don.
What? I was just about to.
That's what happens to him when Ray and Dominic's on his TV. Anyway, so what's your pick, JLB? You got one?
I mean, look, it's really between freaking obviously the Belair sitch and probably, I guess, between Belair and probably Drew McIntyre and Jinder. I thought that was just a waste of time, waste of space, and very pointless match. I didn't even have anyone big come in or anything. Like, it's the only thing I was waiting for. So I don't know. I guess I'll just do it just for the fact that a 27-second match was absolutely ridiculous. In my opinion, I thought it was. I'm happy Becky comes back. That was awesome. I was all excited. But yeah, that wasn't a match. That was stupid. And yeah, so that's my pick: Becky and versus Belair.
Ding 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 on the nose there. That's my pick for worst match of the night. And yes, we've previously talked about this before the podcast, because DA Fabe.
It's all everyone's talking about.
DA Fabe falls on one side, and JLB and I fall on another side, and a lot of
I think it's building a lot of future. I really do. I think you've got 5 contenders for a title now in SmackDown Women's.
I think you could have those same 5 contenders for the title without jobbing one of them out in 27 seconds, right? I've said this before. I 100% am down with Becky returning and taking back the championship all in one night. You can tell this same story of Bianca Belair saying, I was not prepared for Becky Lynch. I was not prepared for Becky Lynch. I was prepared for Sasha, all this stuff. But you can tell that without having the EST of WWE lose in 27 seconds, right?
She got hit with a cheap shot. Wasn't prepared and got hit with a cheap shot. Nah.
Was it a cheap shot? She just hit her with.
She shook her hand and punched her in the face.
And the EST cannot take a single punch to the face?
When she gets back up and immediately gets hit by a rock bottom? No. I mean, Stone Cold would have fallen to rock bottom if rock bottom hit him in the face, or if the Rock hit him in the face and immediately put him into a rock bottom, or vice versa. Stone Cold came up and was like, let's have a match, and kick somebody and then gives him a stunner. He's won dozens of title defenses that way.
Mm-hmm. I do not think that's the way you tell this story. I think you give it a 3-minute match with a little bit of back and forth, but then you can tell the same story. But I'm going to point out that Ava Marie and Alexa Bliss went for 3 minutes and 50 seconds, right? You gave Ava Marie more offense against a former multiple-time women's champion than you gave the current women's champion against another former women's champion. And yes, I 100% agree that Becky Lynch is a higher prestige champion than Alexa. I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing that Ava Marie getting more offense in than Bianca Belair did, the current champion.
Alexa's fighting style is to sidestep. I didn't think we'd talk about that match. I didn't think it'd be a best or worst. But we had to bring it up.
It only comes up as a form of evidence here, right?
Yeah.
In fact, I would have been fine if Alexa would have rolled over Ava Marie in 27 seconds. Would have had no problems with that.
Would have been good with that. And then
Right,
New Job does the
100%
same
fine.
thing.
Yeah, same thing. They could have told that storyline in 27 seconds.
Perfect.
And given that same 3 minutes and 50 seconds to this match. Still told, again, in the end, the storyline you're telling is the same. You're just not making the current champion look like an absolute punk, right? Because right now, she looks like a punk. She looks like she didn't belong as champion. If she couldn't even take 2 moves from Becky Lynch. 2 moves. Do you know who's taking... Do you know who's taking
three contenders right there? 3 contenders without talking Mela, without talking Vega. 3 contenders.
What 3 contenders? Who are you referring to?
Becky, Bianca, Sasha.
Here's the deal.
Sasha's not. No,
Bayley will be
Sasha's
back.
not going to be there. Bailey's not going to be back for like another 8 months.
Yeah, Bailey's out for
Bailey's out for
9
a while.
months, right?
Be old, fuckers.
That's not soon.
That's soon.
That's not soon enough.
It's not soon.
Right.
But
But
that's past
here's my point is,
WrestleMania.
I'm telling you right now, I no longer buy Bianca Belair as a contender because of how bad she went down. And that's ruining her for this storyline. And I am telling you this, I popped hard for Becky's return. I was so excited to see her come back. I have her Amazon exclusive. My wife gave this to me for our anniversary last month because of how excited I've been for Becky Lynch to come back, right? That's here. It's the only Funko Pop that I have still in plastic, right? I got a whole wall of Funko Pops back there that I take out of the box. I haven't done that on this one yet. We went to the store to buy my daughter. We went to the store.
Are you ready for why Ray was better?
I'm
or
still
worse?
talking about this. We went to the store to buy my daughter a WWE Barbie, right? We had our choices of all of those, and I specifically chose Becky Lynch to be the WWE Barbie for my daughter because I want my daughter to be a Becky Lynch fan. And this 27 seconds made me feel worse about her return. I'm not excited about her return anymore. I would have been more excited if she would have come out after the Charlotte Flair match, right? And said, we have unfinished business. Even though we've seen that match 1,000 times, I would have been more excited than I am now after a 27-second beatdown of the current champion. It made Bianca Belair look like a bitch. It made everyone else, made Carmella look like a bitch. It just, in the end...
That it did do. Yeah.
In the end, this didn't build feuds for me. It ruined feuds for me.
So here's why Ray and Dominic versus the Usos is worse. We've seen it a lot. Number 1. Number 2, everything Dominic Mysterio is, we know he's a bitch. Not it made them look like they're a bitch. Every time we see Dominic, we're like, that dude's a bitch. Yep. Like, yeah, he can kick my ass because I'm 40 and fat and out of shape. But that dude's a bitch in professional wrestling.
And here's the deal. It's like, again, we're giving our opinions. And
so we knew in advance.
You know why that match is better? Because it was longer than 27 seconds.
Really?
Yeah.
You want to watch? You want to watch an hour and a half of Goldberg versus Undertaker?
Well, why an hour and a half? There's no match that's an hour and a half.
It must make it better.
If it was Goldberg versus Undertaker in their primes, heck yeah.
For an hour and a half?
But listen, give me 3 minutes, though.
In their primes, right? My favorite match of all time is the 60-minute Iron Man match. Right? So the simple fact is, here's the deal. Bianca Belair's in her prime. Becky Lynch is in her prime, right? And they gave us 27 seconds, right?
That's the thing. And if you want to
Usos in their prime, Rey Mysterio is arguably past his prime, but whatever. And Dominic's, if this is his prime, he just needs to hang it up.
He's under prime.
Because if he's got nowhere to go but down, dude, you're already on the ground.
If Dominic was meat, he'd be select. He wouldn't be choice or prime.
Yeah. So, but in the end, here's why. Again, here's why the Usos and Rey and Dominic match is not the worst match of the weekend for me. Is because you had 3 champions in that match, right? And then Dominic, right? And they gave them 10 minutes and 50 seconds, right? And so you got to see 10 minutes and 50 seconds. Okay, let's take Dominic out. You got to see about 8 minutes of quality wrestling in that match. And then 2 minutes and 50 seconds of Dominic fucking around. And it was immediately followed by 27-second loss by Bianca Belair, right?
Yeah.
And that's
I'm hyped to see where that story goes. I really am. I am done with the other story. So
well, but
anyway.
I also think that other story might be done, right? Because in the end, the victory was clean by the Usos.
Boy, I don't think it is. Oh, the other story, yeah. I think the other story is over. God, I hope so.
Yeah. So this was finishing that story with a 10-minute and 50-second clean victory. So moving on. But again, for me, the 27-second, it didn't build the future for that. I'm not more excited. I'm less excited about that than I was 27 seconds prior to that match being over. Right? That literally took all the wind out of my sails for that match, for that feud. I was like, and again, we're gonna do a little rewind on the podcast to a previous episode of the Fantasy Booking Institute. I booked Becky Lynch coming back and challenging Bianca Belair, and how excited I'd be for that. And she almost did what I said. You're the EST, but you haven't beat the MAN. You know. And she almost did that.
You weren't here for that. That was Tuesday, JLB. Just so
I get it.
Someone was sleeping.
That's what I do. I sleep. I enjoy my rest when I have to wake up at 6 a.m.
After listening to your other podcast this week, I fully expect you to be back on Tuesday. Fully expect you to be back on Tuesday.
Yeah, I'll be there for sure.
You're cheating on us, and we're not happy about that.
What do you mean? You were cheating on yourself. You were the one.
I was commenting. I was commenting. That's different.
For the whole show.
For 90% of it, I missed the beginning.
Oh, fair enough.
Because I was driving.
All right, fair.
Anyways, but so we're 2-1 on worst match of the weekend. 1 vote for Dominic Mysterio, Rey Mysterio versus the Usos, and the other 2 for Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch.
Fans loaded up in the comments. Tell us what you think.
So, yeah, hit us up in the comments or on social media. You can find our social medias in the doobly-doos below. But we're going to move on to most predictable moment. And this is actually kind of a fun one for these 2, because there were a lot of unpredictable moments. But were there really predictable ones?
There were a few. The ones that come to mind, I think we all knew Adam Cole was going to lose. I started to question it when the handcuffs came out. I thought, wow, what a great play to have him win, knowing that you still haven't wrapped up his contract. You know, I was like, oh, wow, that's ballsy. I thought for sure that Roman was going to win, and that happened. However, there was a couple moments where I was like, wow, they're going to actually have him break Flair's record. That's pretty cool. Then Charlotte can break his record instead of her dad's. So that was one. I knew Goldberg was going to lose. I would say probably the most predictable moment, in my opinion, was Goldberg's son being involved in the match in some way, shape, or form. I think as soon as you start to talk smack to a son in the audience, you're going to have some type of attack in the audience of that character. So that was mine. Goldberg's son being involved.
JLB?
So Mine's going to be kind of a weird one. It's the only one that's really coming to mind at the moment, though. I'm going to have to say Damian Priest winning the championship from Sheamus. Saw that coming a mile away, just for the fact that Damian Priest needs it more than Sheamus. Sheamus could still do what he needs to do, whatever have you. And because Sheamus is just, and Sheamus is such a phenomenal wrestler. I like the fact that I get reminded every time I see him wrestle, and I'm just like, man, he's so good. Like, he was champion before. This is the reason, kind of thing, So
yeah, because really, you think he's a mid-carder, and then you're like, oh yeah, there's a reason he was a world champion.
That's it, exactly. But that's the only one that's really coming to mind at the moment. I guess the Dewdrop turn I was really expecting as well. Although I thought she was going to hit her instead of,
I thought there was going to be more turn to it than just taunt her and leave, but
which, by the way, technically counts as a turn on her. For the wrestling.
That's what I was like. That's still technically a turn, so it ought to count, right? So I'm going to go with the Adam Cole winning, or losing. I think 100% that was the moment of this weekend that I was like, he's definitely losing. How he loses is something that we can talk about maybe later. But him losing, I was like, it's a 3-fall match. First fall was a regular for the first one, street fight for the second one, and then in a cage for the third match. But I will
say, I was not expecting the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment to show up as the end of the first match. I wasn't expecting a roll up.
Mm-hmm. I just
those two.
In fact, I think I can even say most predictable moment of the night was not just Adam Cole losing, but it going to a third fall.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
It's always.
They announced it's going to be. There have been a few times when they've changed it. They said it's a 2 out of 3 falls match, and someone wins on the second fall, and you're like, whoa, wait. That's not supposed to happen. But 9 times out of 10,
that's really rare.
But I honestly thought they might have went that route to kind of say, "Hey, f you, Adam Cole." Just O'Reilly beats you clean.
I think WWE hasn't given up on Adam Cole yet.
They didn't with Daniel Bryan for a very long time.
I think he hasn't officially signed with any place. As far as any of the reports I've read, he hasn't officially signed on the dotted line with any place.
But he is officially no longer under contract with NXT.
Yeah, he's officially no longer under contract with WWE, but he hasn't signed with any place else. So I think WWE is like, let's still make him look good on the way out so that we can maybe get him to sign, and bring him on the main roster. But we even have in our group text from me before the NXT started tonight that I
Adam
said
Cole's
Adam
gonna
Cole's
lose tonight.
Gonna lose. The only thing up in the air is whether he shows up on the main roster or on another show. Right. And that's it. Right.
Likewise, I would say even Joe winning for me was pretty predictable, just because we knew Cross was going to go to the main roster at full time.
If we're doing honorable mentions, I would say that's up there too.
See, and I thought there's a chance maybe they keep him main roster, but when Scarlett didn't show up, I was like, he's going to lose.
Yeah. Well, reportedly,
they're trying to sell this story, so.
Reportedly, Scarlett's out of action for some reason and can't show up, and the reports haven't been able to tie down exactly why she can't show up, but she cannot show up to NXT or main roster right now for some reason.
Okay,
but it sells that he can't win without Scarlett.
Mm-hmm. Except he did win against. Keith
well,
Lee,
but that's that puny ass man, Keith Lee.
Yeah, it's just Keith Lee. he was still recovering from COVID, so
Fuck.
COVID killed him. It did. It nearly killed him.
No, I know. Just to use that in terms of a joke was a bit cryptic. Was a bit much. Yeah, that was.
I'm just saying that's WWE's thought process that they can use.
No.
Oh, yeah, that's why he
your
lost,
thought
'cause
process.
he's
They would use that though. They really would.
Totally
If they
would.
use Roman's
Yeah.
cancer.
But so in the end, the Samoa Joe winning would be an honorable mention for most predictable moment for me, because I was pretty certain that was going to happen.
Oh.
I mean, other predictable moments, like, you know, again, I 100% knew that, like, Alexa Bliss was going to beat Eva Marie, because it's telling
Right.
the storyline of Doudrop turning. I knew Doudrop was going to turn. I expected it to be a bigger turn, but I knew it was going to happen. But for me, the Adam Cole thing was the most predictable moment of the night, of the whole weekend. I was like, this is going to happen. It's just how
I guess
it happens.
Grimes winning the $1 million championship too, maybe. Unless, then again, maybe not, because I was kind of expecting it, but then I'm like, what if Ted DiBiase turns on Grimes, kind of thing? You know what I mean? That would be kind of different, but then he would be his butler, so that would have been weird. Although I'm like, that would be interesting TV.
Yeah. Another honorable mention to me
butler
was Roman Reigns winning. And the only reason I say that was most predictable of the night is because of the stipulation that he threw out on Friday. If he had not thrown out that stipulation, I would have thought maybe he's losing. But as soon as Roman Reigns says, if I lose, I'm leaving the company, I'm like, great, now you took all
guess you're winning.
Now you took all the suspense out of it for me, because I know there's no way that Roman Reigns is not going to be on SmackDown in a week.
When you're already on the wave, like if you're a surfer, you're already on the wave, and it's a 24-foot wave, and it's just epic, and you're there. You don't jump off, especially when you've spent months trying to find a wave.
Yeah.
For years.
They've been paddling for 5 years to get this wave. And they finally got this wave, and then they're going to be like, "Oh, I'm up. No, I'm done." So, so as soon as he said that,
you're killing it. It's great. Don't get off this wave.
Damn it, Roman! Why? And I said it to Roman, but we know for 100% Roman's not writing these promos. And so, damn it,
Vince.
writers. Right? Why'd you have to do this? Because it made it so obvious to me that Roman was winning. Because there's no way they're writing him off TV for any reason. And the only thing they could have done if he lost is him come out on SmackDown and say, I'm not leaving. You know,
right?
Punk
they could have
move or
easily have
whatever.
done that. Yeah.
But that would have just made him look like a punk. So I didn't see that happening. So it's an honorable mention. But to me, Adam Cole losing was. No, we can talk maybe later about whether the way Adam Cole lost was
maybe
good, but it might come up later. We'll find out. But we're gonna move on to botch of the weekend. What was the moment? What was the thing that happened that was just the absolute botch? And this can be a botch segment, it can be a botch move, it can be a botch booking decision.
Just get it out of the way, you two.
Becky Lynch beating 27
Jesus
seconds.
Christ.
Yes, that's the botch of the night for me.
I'd have to. I was gonna say Goldberg's injury, but I mean, honestly, Becky's
Runner-up.
whole thing is Goldberg thing is the runner-up. Becky's thing for sure. Major botch. How do you do that? How do you have such an exciting moment and then you ruin it in 2 seconds? WWE be so good at that, from bringing NXT stars to Raw or SmackDown and ruining them in 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. Oh man, yeah, no, that's got to be the botch. I absolutely hated it. So did I think Meltzer kind of said something like...
Yes, he 100% said something.
Oh, yeah.
But he was excited
now
by it,
Smarks is a Meltzer fan.
I respect Meltzer. Sometimes he says stupid shit, but...
I mean, to be fair, he did say a lot of stupid shit. He said a lot of the matches on SummerSlam were good. So I was like, no. It's subjective, right? It's anyone's opinion, but I'm like, bro, come on now. Everyone just went over the hype of Becky and Brock coming, and it's like, oh my god, the best pay-per-view. No, it wasn't. You take that away, it was a mediocre, subpar, perhaps, pay-per-view. Nothing crazy.
The botch of the night is the Moisey superstar in all of WWE, or the moisty wrestler in all of WWE. That segment did not need to exist. It would have opened up a lot of other spots, maybe even a longer Becky Lynch match. That segment built absolutely nothing.
And I don't know why they
Nothing.
even. I thought they literally wanted to maybe get the fans wet or something, and I was like, okay, maybe it's really hot there. It's a thing. Cool story, bro. Let's do it.
Yeah,
cool.
But instead, it built zero.
Nothing at all. Like, I guess we'll see something on Raw with this, but whatever.
Nothing.
So we're going to go ahead and move on to overhype of the night. What was the overhype of the weekend? The thing that they built up so much that didn't live up to the expectations.
Every single match that you would give below a C. Or below a B. Every single match that was below a B. So you would give Drew versus Jinder was overhyped. Goldberg versus Bobby Lashley was overhyped. Even I liked the Becky Lynch match, but you guys would say that was over. The existence of Sasha Banks.
Sasha Bear.
Sasha Bear.
Where's my list for T-shirts?
There's
We're
your
doing that one.
Sasha Bear.
Oh, I miss my Sasha Bear.
Purple long hair. Oh my gosh, do they do hypercolor? Can we do hypercolor since the hair changes colors on Sasha Bear? Anyway, the existence of Sasha Banks even being at this pay-per-view, which I assumed that it was a COVID-related thing.
Right. That was one of
because a lot of people thought it was. And apparently there's rumor that WWE is known for 8 days, which COVID you would only know 2 days beforehand that she still tested positive.
And she was at the arena apparently. So if you had COVID, you're definitely not at the arena.
Yeah. I would say overhype of the night was playing a promo for Sasha Banks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right
before.
Right before.
Yeah.
That's the overhype that, before the show, we said they could have had it at the beginning. We've just learned that Sasha Banks won't be able to be here. We'll find out later who Bianca Belair's opponent will be, or Sasha Bear is in my brain now. Sasha Bear can't compete, so Carmella will be taking her spot. They could have done all of that, but the fact that they continued to play it up all the way until the match and play the stupid promo, even though they knew she wasn't coming out, that is 100% overhype of the weekend, right?
Yep.
Doesn't matter what else other matches happened, right? Other matches were overhyped, but that one is 100% the number one overhype of the weekend.
For the life of me, I thought Vince was punishing both of them. I thought it was something to do with that. I'm like, okay, they did something wrong. Vince is really pissed off. He's punishing them now. But then I hear, okay, I don't know. I guess it could still technically be that, but like,
I mean, it could have been, if it was COVID, but if she was backstage, that pretty much ruined out COVID. But if it was COVID, it could have been why they missed last weekend. She tested positive. They couldn't have her on those matches last weekend.
But by Thursday, she would have had to have a clean test.
Mm-hmm. And if she was still positive Thursday,
but you don't even ever come to the arena.
But here's the deal: if she is positive for COVID, under most rules right now, she has to quarantine for 2 weeks, right? That's what they've had. That's what they did with Jeff Hardy.
I thought it was 2 weeks after or 2 days after your clean test. After a clean test,
when Jeff Hardy was announced as positive for COVID, they said he has to quarantine for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Which is why he missed 2 weeks a thing. So if it was COVID, it could have been, but then she wouldn't have been backstage. So
she was probably just balancing her bear statement to see if she can get anything taken care of.
Well, it's getting close to fall. She's probably starting to plan her hibernation. She's like, where do I find enough picnic baskets for the winter?
Oh shit!
I'm gonna make a Sasha Banks bear now. Like legitimately, this sounds awesome.
Look, I have to amend my notes to make sure that
To include the bear statements.
no, I base it off of Yogi Bear.
Sasha Bear. There we go. So yeah, I think that is 100% agreement. The overhype was literally hyping a person who wouldn't be there 42 seconds before they weren't there.
Yes.
And having a match worth 26 seconds long.
Yeah, we can go into we can talk about NXT, which was just earlier today. But I don't think any of those were quite overhype of the night. Like
I think Walter and what's his face was better than all of WrestleMania.
SummerSlam.
I almost made that match my. Not overhyped, not underhyped. The one we just talked about before this. Most predictable. Most predictable. I thought for sure that that was going to happen. But I mean, there wouldn't have been a reason to do it like there was for Cena or anything like that.
So I didn't see Dragunov winning by submission. I didn't see that happening, but like
no, that caught all of us off guard.
Samoa Joe versus Karrion Kross was really heavily hyped, but I think it was not overhyped enough to be overhype of the night. Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole, 2 out of 3 falls match, was heavily hyped, but I think at least 2 of the falls lived up to the hype. The Dragunov versus Walter match lived up to whatever hype. Now, I'll probably talk later because I'm sure it'll come up later in it that I have I don't want to say issues with that match because it was a phenomenal match, but to me,
okay, let's keep going then. I want to hear that.
We'll talk about it later. Okay, we'll talk about it later. I might give Dakota Kai versus Raquel Gonzalez a bit of an overhype.
That match was fire.
Just because even though it was a good match, like it wasn't as good as I was expecting. And
the storyline was better than the match, I feel.
Best women's match of the weekend. Now that doesn't say much, but best women's match of the weekend.
I mean, I'll give you that, sure.
Yeah, you can't argue with that. But if we open it up to week, then I suddenly have to start arguing. So it's just because of the matches on the weekend that do it.
Well, I mean, Flair was pretty phenomenal. Like, I think she did the most work in that matchup, and she did really good. But she's Flair, right? So
that could have landed in most predictable moments too.
I actually predicted that they were going to keep it on Nikki ASH for a bit. Flair wasn't going to take the pin.
That's why you do a triple threat, is to allow it to stay on Nikki ASH.
Exactly. That was my whole point. It's a triple threat. You allow it. You allow Nikki ASH to pin Rhea Ripley through shenanigans, right? Like Charlotte hits her with the natural selection, and then is getting ready to hit the figure 4, and Nikki runs in and throws her out of the ring, and then pins Rhea Ripley and wins, right? That you can totally do it that way, and it maintains Rhea because she technically got beat by Charlotte, not by Nikki, and it maintains Charlotte because she didn't get pinned or whatever, and Nikki continues to be the happy champion. That's what I thought was going to happen.
And Nikki can have a win on one of the big 4 pay-per-views that way too.
Yes, exactly.
And then she loses at the next pay-per-view straight up to Charlotte or straight up to Rhea. Yeah. One or the other.
So you know, the Cameron Grimes versus LA Knight might have been overhype of the night, but it's not up there enough to beat out. Literally,
See, I think that was underdone, at least not underhyped, but underdone. And here's why: I think Cameron Grimes should have been his butler up until his entrance, which means when he went out, that's Grimes privilege, and they should have talked about it all night. They should have had him polishing LA shoes. Okay, but I got to go get ready for my match. No, you got other stuff to do. I need a water, but not from over here. I need one from across the stadium. That one stand, and had him running all over up until right at LA Knight being introduced. That's how I would have done it.
But anyways, the in the end,
thanks guys.
You're welcome. My point is, it's still not overhype of the night because it doesn't matter what came after them hyping Sasha Banks to be at a match she wasn't gonna be at. Nothing could overhype that.
Yeah,
for sure. That was really stupid.
Card subject to change in 4 seconds.
Yes. Yeah.
Although we knew 8 days ago that the card was going to subject to change, but decided not to tell you.
Yeah.
And promote it continuously on SmackDown and announce it and show the things on Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah. They literally could
They showed a
big
vignette right before.
Yeah. They could possibly get sued for that because yes, card subject to change, but this is one of those things from the shareholders who would be the ones suing, because the shareholders could say you knew that this wasn't going to happen and you continued to deceive.
And they deceived who the match was actually going to be right after that with Carmella. So just tell us it's Carmella 4 days earlier.
Yeah, that's the thing. You could have said on SmackDown, Sasha Banks isn't going to make it. She can't be it for.
She requested that Carmella take her spot.
Or you have a match on SmackDown. You love to do those multi-person matches. Winner gets the shot. You have a fatal 4-way with people and have Carmella win the shot.
With Vega, Carmella, and whoever. Come on.
Exactly. Let's talk about that a bit. Why Carmella? Right? Why not Vega? You just brought her back.
Why Carmella, who just lost the night before?
Yeah.
Well, because you don't want to make Vega. Would you have rather Carmella or Vega in that scenario?
Vega.
You'd rather Carmella.
Had the match actually happened, I'd rather Vega because Carmella just happened the night before.
No. But the match didn't happen. The same scenario that it happened on. Would you rather Carmella or Vega?
In the end, I don't think that part hurt Carmella, and I don't think it would have hurt Vega as much, right? But in the end, you brought back Vega, you hyped her up, and then had her lose her first match, and then you've continued to kind of hype her up. Just give her this moment, and then let her go. Anyways, but we're gonna move on because we've still got a couple more worst before we get to best. So worst performance of the weekend.
Anybody?
So I'm gonna surprise you and not say Bianca Belair losing in 27 seconds.
Right.
Because while that was, I don't think that's on her performance, right? For the most part, I'm going to say of the weekend, it's Goldberg. I didn't buy Goldberg at all in that match. Right?
And this is still going to continue, ladies and gentlemen.
I would say Goldberg not specifically taking too long to sell the kneecap shot or the back of the knee shot with the cane. Specifically, that moment is the worst performance.
To me, it was the whole match. I disliked everything Goldberg did in that match.
I'm gonna have to go for the stadium themselves for having pyrotechnic issues, having toilets overflowed, for having the Wi-Fi not working. All of this in a span of like the rest of the show, which we had like an hour and a half left.
The most important one of the things not working is one you didn't say. The stadium is a cashless stadium, which means all concessions had to be credit card, and their credit card processing went down, so no one could buy anything all night. Not a hot dog, not
Okay.
a soda, not a beer.
Well,
not
that's why they
anything.
gave. But kudos to them, though. They apparently gave a bunch of people free food and stuff. Though.
At the end, like towards the end, when they realized that they had all this food and they weren't going to get it back up, but there was about a 2 hour, an hour and a half long segment there where no one could get anything. And they're just like, I want a soda. I'm sorry, you can't have a soda. I want a beer. I'm sorry, you can't have a beer. And now that probably should be the worst performance of the night. And I'm glad you brought that up because I kind of
forgot it.
Yeah, it went like this because of all the other worst performances and all my anger over.
It made me be so thankful that I wasn't live or that I didn't win that TikTok thing. I was like, man, if I would have won that TikTok thing, I would have been there. Then I wouldn't have been able to get soda or anything for the rest of the 3 hours. So thank you, WWE, for not choosing me because that stadium apparently is garbage.
Yeah. Now, that being said, honorable mention, worst performance, Dominic Mysterio.
Because he's Dominic.
Specifically Dominic Mysterio. Just, yeah.
And maybe Rey Mysterio for his freaking costume. Like, what the hell is that? He had a weird pink and thing. Like, Rey just gets really stupid with his costume sometimes. Sometimes they're creative, but yeah.
They're in the Heart Foundation now.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know Calgary's area code, but it's no longer the 619. It's Calgary's area code.
So those are our worst performances of the night.
All right.
Yeah.
So next one.
Worst move. Worst singular move of the night.
I guess I already said it, didn't I? The no sell on the kneecap.
Yeah, and probably up there. I'm gonna nominate a worst move of the night, and that's Drew McIntyre swinging an actual sword at people's heads.
Oh yeah, that was stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. It's a blunted sword. It probably wouldn't have, hurt them, and they ducked out of the way, and it was all choreographed in advance. But WWE, you make a big deal about how you're trying to be family friendly, and then you legitimately have someone try to murder two people on your pay-per-view.
The good guy try to murder two people.
The good guy. Yeah. What? So that's my nomination for worst move. DFA, what do you got?
Well, just to do something different. No, I did say the kneecap, but I will also say the inability to defend oneself against a squirt gun.
It was a really powerful squirt gun.
It was that's it. I believed it.
It wasn't even like milk in a truck or beer in a truck. Come on now.
But it was the Miz or the Morrison Super 5000 drip whatever.
The drip stick 5000.
That's it. I believe
it. I have to say the worst move of that particular segment was the missing out on them just doing he sprays them in the crotch and makes a joke about them peeing their pants. That's like low-hanging fruit comedy that they just should have done. It's like, oh, you're so scared. Why'd you pee yourself?
The whole freaking segment shouldn't have been done, and you know it.
It was so stupid. And then they did the whole thing, the kickoff on Raw, the kickoff on the kickoff show that they brought this stupid truck filled with water. And I'm like, what the hell are they going to do here? I literally thought they were just going to spray the whole crowd because it was hot or something. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Well, I will say it to me, it set the expectations wrong because I thought it was going to be a milk truck incident or a beer truck incident where the truck pulls up and the Dripstick 5000 was the truck with a giant hose attached to it spraying people. And then it turned out just to be a backpack full of water.
So why did you need that whole truck, though?
Yeah. Why'd you have the truck? For advertising, I guess.
Yeah, that's it.
So,
speaking of which, they had a lot more commercials now too. I felt
It's all about those dollar bills, y'all.
Oh,
So the final worst before we get to talking about the best. The worst moment of the weekend. Absolute worst moment. Go.
All right, guys, just go ahead and say it, and I'll tell you.
what do
a
you
different
mean? I bet you don't know what we're gonna say. You can't read my mind. How dare you assume, Mr. Corona drinker?
one.
That's
No,
not
this
even
one's
Corona.
Bud Light Orange.
Bud Light
But,
Orange.
I will. Hashtag still not sponsored. I will say I'm going to enjoy this beer more than anybody did at Alliance Stadium or Allegiant Stadium.
Oh Jesus,
Yeah.
that's too
True.
soon, bro.
Yep.
Too soon. It's a bit much.
True.
That's
Keeps you
not
right in the
bad.
keister.
I've never
It's-
had that before, but that's not bad.
So yeah,
For
I
a
mean,
pansy.
worst moment of the thing was 27 seconds. It was 27-second
Yep.
moment.
Yeah, I'm going with that.
You know, they're no. So now, DA Fabe, you tell us what you think is the actual worst moment of the weekend.
Yep.
Oh,
27 seconds.
drip, moist sea wrestlers tag team of all time.
I will say
Correct.
The moment is the segment. The segment it didn't need to exist.
I'm waiting for the John Morrison turn. It has to happen soon.
It needed to happen when Miz had the Money in the Bank. That's when it needed to happen.
I'm fine with it going on. It needed to
Or
happen.
even on
when
the
they
Jib TV. Even there, like they should have just made it a
needed
thing.
to happen at the moment that John Morrison found out that Miz was faking the injury.
Yeah.
At that moment, Morrison should have been like,
He's like, a couple
I've
of
been
weeks
taking
ago,
a
you
beat
knew?
down for you.
And
yeah,
then,
I've been taking a beat down because you were injured and you're not injured, right? So, but yeah.
But
So now we're going to
That's
go
my worst
ahead and now we're going to move on to the best. So we're going to go in the reverse order we did. So what was the best singular moment of the weekend for everyone?
Becky
So we can't say
coming
CM Punk?
back.
We can't say CM Punk, no.
Becky coming back. Becky's return.
So of those, here's the deal. I'm going to agree. Becky's return, that moment, when her music hit and she come out,
But she
Best
looked
moment
good,
of the
man. She
weekend.
looked refreshed. She looked mature, if that makes sense.
She made me angry with how good she looked being 9 months after having a baby.
She glowed like a mother.
Why are you jealous?
Because he wants to look that good after having a baby.
Yeah, it's
But
been,
he
it's been
can't
3
even have a
years and I
baby.
still don't look that good.
You
Okay,
have no
so-
excuse.
someone
Been 8 years.
someone has not experienced sympathy. Right. It
Nope.
100% happens. Husbands often go through a whole lot of the same stuff women do for no reasons other than their brains. No, I'm not saying pain-wise. I'm not saying any of that stuff. I'm saying the simple fact is
we gain weight.
We gain weight on it. All of this stuff, and then it's hard for us to turn things around afterwards, especially since here in America, the men have to go back to work in a couple days usually, right?
Okay,
so
sure.
there we're back
Certain-
at work and all this stuff.
There's certain nutritional things that are not good nutritionally for us that infants in the womb need. Like high fat content, high carbohydrate content. And so when you're being told to go, I really want McDonald's French fries, your ass gets McDonald's too.
I really
Regardless
want,
of
I really want ice cream. You're buying a bucket of ice cream, and all of this stuff. And so it's not uncommon for guys to get as out of shape as they've ever been in their lives.
oh
when
man,
their
it's a
wives are
lot
makes
harder for
sense.
them to recover.
And 9 months later, and here 3 years later,
Look at Seth's fat ass. Do you see how fat Seth is now?
well, I'm going to use a different example. We're going to go back to and I'm going to be clear. I'm not denigrating him in any way, shape, or
Damn,
form.
that's good.
But have you looked at John Moxley since the baby was born?
That's legit.
He is
He
not,
had abs before. He has ab now.
Yeah, there's a reason they call it a dad bod. He is on the verge of dad bod. He's still fucking ripped in terms of muscles. He just has this extra
Not
layer
his stomach.
on top of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just has this extra layer on top now. And that's because he's up at 3 a.m. feeding a baby or helping his wife feed a baby or and there's a lot of things that go into it, but
yeah, and the baby doesn't care if you just did a prom or just did a match at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
Right.
Doesn't care, right? Baby needs the diaper changed. New nappy now. Chop to it.
That's it.
I seem to have soiled myself, mother.
I need a new nap. I need a new nappy now because in 10 minutes I'm gonna soil it, and I'm not gonna shit in a dirty diaper.
That's so legit.
Get it on me now.
And if you love your spouse, you get up and do it.
Mm-hmm. So in the end, she came out. That's the moment of the weekend for me. Best moment. As long as we're not including CM Punk, right? Which we've already established we're not. Becky's music hitting and her coming out was like second for me. Edge's entrance.
Brood.
Yeah,
that was pretty
I really
badass.
wish Gangrel had been there with him.
It sure would have been
Christian
nice.
couldn't have been.
Yeah, we knew Christian wasn't, but it sure would have been nice. Gangrel's a free agent. You just pay him a couple bucks to come and show up and come up in that entrance with
and Edge is choking him and just lets him drop. That would have been fine.
Yeah, I even a passing of the torch. They come up. Gangrel's got the goblet of red viscous fluid, and he hands it to Edge and then leaves. And Edge, walks to the ring with it or whatever. It's
Drinks a little bit of the blood.
Moment.
Yeah.
It's a passing of the torch moment and everything. But even without that, the Brood theme, the coming up through the trapdoor elevator with the fog and everything. That was the secondary moment of the weekend for me.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But Becky's return, up until what happened after.
I don't know. The other one I would give you is Walter losing. I deeply enjoyed Dragunov getting the win.
Okay. Well,
That was a phenomenal match.
Yep.
Loved it.
So
It'll
we're
come
in,
up later, I'm sure.
yeah, we're in more or less agreement on Becky, though, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
I don't know,
Becky, for sure.
JLB. Yeah, Becky.
No, Becky. Yep.
yeah. We're gonna move on to breakout star of the weekend.
Dragunov.
Yep. Dragunov.
And here is where people are gonna hate me.
Kyle O'Reilly.
People are gonna hate me. Yeah. Yeah. For me, Kyle O'Reilly looked like the bigger star, and God, I am just. I'm just preparing myself for the internet hate coming. The hate that's going to come.
It's Dragunov.
Dragunov does nothing for me. Like
Wow.
I will call him. I will say it's the Daniel Bryan syndrome for me. I 100% appreciate how good he is there. I 100% appreciate that he is one of the best wrestlers in the world, but I feel nothing for him. Like,
What did he say in his promo? I didn't catch that. He said the general has fallen.
long live the Tsar.
Oh, the Tsar. Okay.
The Russian Tsars.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, I wanted to be in them. And I watched last year's match of the year candidate match between them, and I wanted to, and I just I can't.
Which match
get
was
into
better?
it.
I didn't watch last year's. Dragunov and Walter.
I'm not the person to ask on this because
Okay.
in the end, I appreciate the matches, but there were dozens of matches last year that I appreciated more because I was invested in the characters. and I just can't get in him.
I
There's
will
something
say,
about him.
I'll make an honorable mention. Had she won, hands down, Dakota Kai would have been the breakout star of the night. Her reversals in that match were fire. Everything Dakota did in that match was fire.
I could have mentioned
Raquel
that match in one of
one.
the worst segments there because, or even in one of the most predictable moments. If only from the standpoint of we know the the reports about the direction NXT is going starting next week. And that is they're retooling it, and it's going to be more about finding the big people that Vince McMahon thinks are the stars of the future.
I don't think he feels that way about women, though.
For the most part, I don't. But if you're Vince McMahon with your general attitude, in general, I mean, here's the deal: Charlotte Flair got to the top because she's really good. She's got the Flair name, but she's also taller than most other women, so she towers in the ring. And I looked at this match and I said, prior to these changes coming, I could have seen Dakota Kai winning it. But as soon as this announcement was made, I thought to myself, Dakota Kai is not winning this match.
And I wish she
would have, because this is a chance. She is a potential future star on the main roster, in my book. Yeah. And as I don't want to speak down about Raquel Gonzalez, because I do think she also has the potential for, in this situation, the better performer did not win.
No.
And the better performer is losing out to the still not ready for prime time, in my opinion, Raquel Gonzalez. So, but yeah, for me, Kyle O'Reilly was the breakout star of the weekend for me.
Is Kelly Kay the girl that came out right afterwards to kind of be like, hey,
Kylie Ray.
Kylie Ray. Sorry.
Yeah.
Kylie Ray.
Yeah.
Is she what Vince is kind of looking for, sort of a deal? I've never seen her fight.
She's closer. I don't know how old she is. Because
I wasn't sure why they were building up a feud there. I'm like, okay, why are you setting this up? Like, aren't you rebranding? Why are you giving us any stories right now? I thought their whole goal was to cut every story, and then start from scratch. They did that for the.
I guess I could give two shits what Vince wants to do with the women's division, because at the end of the day, he's misused Toni Storm. He's gonna misuse Tegan Nox. They are saying Noxie, which is way too close to what Mr. Smarks was nervous about. Shotzi is going to be misused. They're going to misuse everybody, including Charlotte, because she is being misused because she should be putting other people over at now her 11th title reign. They're going to misuse everybody but Becky. Mm-hmm. Becky will be the only one who doesn't get misused.
Yeah. So Kaylee Ray is 29 years old, so she's under the 30-year-old threshold that Vince McMahon, but not by much.
Squeaking by
there. She's billed at 5'8", so she's taller than most. She's a long-running NXT UK champion. So she, let's figure out how long it was.
She's the one who knocked off Toni Storm, isn't she?
I believe so.
So 9 months, 10 months.
So, Kaylee Ray, 649 days.
Oh shit, she had it for 2 years.
Yep.
Crap.
Damn, that's a long time.
Yeah, she beat Toni Storm, who had it for 230 days. Toni Storm, of course, had beat Rhea Ripley. And so she is the longest reigning NXT UK champion.
Behind Walter.
Champion. Yeah, women's champion, I need to say. And so obviously someone in WWE is high on her, Triple H. Nick Khan, in the interview that I mentioned earlier, said that the retooling of NXT is still going to be led by Triple H. But I doubt Triple H knows that. I 100% feel like Triple H is setting up what he wants to happen, but then when they go and film for this next couple weeks, because I think it's supposed to be the next 3 weeks of NXT TV are going to be pre-taped. They're going to film them all in advance and then take time to retool and everything.
Take a break, bitches.
I have a feeling that no matter what they set up on this, there's going to be a lot of things that change once it comes. But Kaylee Ray is probably close enough to what Vince sees in a future women's champion-ish. I think Raquel Gonzalez is probably close. I mean, here's the deal. What Vince probably wants from NXT Women's Champion or a WWE Women's Champion is, if you were to draw a picture,
Charlotte, Rhea, and Raquel.
It would be a Chyna with slightly less muscles and more feminine, and we'd have a roster of them, or a whole bunch of really sexy ladies, and unfortunately, what we want it to be is a bunch of really good wrestlers.
Yeah.
And that's what they've had for the last 5 years. You know, NXT, especially the women's roster there, has been absolutely stacked. But, I said before, I'm worried about Candice LeRae. She's going to be missing time because they're having a baby. So, I worry about Johnny Gargano because he doesn't fit anything Vince McMahon wants in the long run. Do I think they're going to come in and just immediately cut almost all the roster? No, because they have to sign enough new people first. But, there's a big talent that they signed, and I can't remember his name offhand, but he's a football player, and a lot of people call him the next Brock Lesnar. And I anticipate as soon as they think he's even close to ready for TV, he's going to come in and mop the floor with almost all the guys, and he's going to become their new champion.
Hey, remember when Ryback was the next Goldberg?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But Vince doesn't learn from that. It's like, we're going to keep doing that. Remember? Dominic Mysterio is the next Rey Mysterio.
Oh, Jesus. I never thought I'd hear those words come out of anyone else's mouth who was a wrestling fan.
Come on back, bud. We got a podcast.
Sorry.
Moving on.
I said a name and I went, oh. So, moving on. Best performance of the weekend. Best overall performance.
This isn't best match. So best performance by an individual.
Yep, best individual
is again, it's Dakota Kai. She carried that match. She was great. Here's the deal. Every other match took two people to do it. Raquel Gonzalez was not great during that match. Dakota Kai was phenomenal.
I'm going to say Walter. Because he did everything that the monster heel is supposed to do in that match and lost.
That's fair.
He beat the tar out of Dragunov.
Oh,
right?
the bruises just
literally his chest looks like chopped beef. Like literally,
so
went to the store and got ground beef and. That's my chest now, right there.
Like he got one too many acupunctures on his chest, just a bunch of.
Yeah. There was that point in the match where Dragunov had already hit his finisher, and I can't remember what it's called, the Russian attack or something like that. I can't remember, and failed. Failed to get the pin, and he got up and he decided to chop Walter, and I was like, no, that is not what you do.
You're in trouble.
Yeah, this is danger.
You're gonna
danger,
die.
Will Robinson. Danger. This is you don't chop.
Nope, he's
Walter.
dead.
you don't throw Triple H into the ropes. These are things you don't do. right? Right. Walter's going to take a couple chops, and then he's going to turn around and he's going to chop your, like, his hand's going to go through your chest.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he did. But
It did.
but on top of it, and this is why is Walter did the thing and put over the new talent. The I'd say new. I mean, he had match of the year candidate last year. But he did what he needed to do. He and put him over huge, because what was the final tally on his reign? 800 and some days.
Yeah, something like that.
Very long reign.
I felt like he was the only NXT UK champion or something. Like,
Oh, there were others, but
oh, it's certainly
Man,
been a
it's
hot minute.
really, really hard to look him up on Wikipedia because
Too many Walters.
there's so many Walters. There we
Um,
go. Walter, Austrian professional wrestling, championship reign, NXT UK champion. Walter.
October
870 days.
1987. 870 days. That's crazy.
870 days. So he put over the guy, and he did it, and he still looks strong in doing it. And I've said, monster heels, heels just in general, their whole thing is to make the good guy, the face, look great, and he did his job there. Even though I'm not a Dragunov fan, I just can't get into him. The match itself, I can't take anything away from the match. The match was quality, right? It didn't deserve to be on any of the worst lists. It was a great match. I just, like, we all have those. Some people can't watch Tom Cruise movies, no matter how action packed they are, because it's Tom Cruise. I just can't. I don't know. Can't get behind.
and no matter how impossible the mission is,
this
doesn't
mission
matter.
just
Just
got a
kidding.
whole lot more impossibler.
Impossibler.
Anyways, so
JLB, best performance?
best performance. I'm probably gonna have to go with Seth Rollins in the Edge versus Seth match. I thought Seth both men really, but whatever. If I have to give it to one person, maybe even Edge. I could probably give it to Edge actually.
I mean, to me, and we're gonna get to match of the night in just a bit, but to me, if we were limiting it to just one night, right, Edge versus Seth would probably be
Hands
match of
down.
the night.
Hands down. Oh.
For that night. We have two nights to put on, so we'll keep you in suspense on
Unfortunately,
whether that makes
NXT
it
probably knocks it off.
Yeah. But so we'll move on to underhype of the night. What was the thing that wasn't talked about and turned out to be phenomenal? Anyone?
Becky.
Anyone?
Becky coming back. Becky's
coming
back.
maybe. I don't know.
But that was, I mean, I guess that's the only thing I could really think.
Becky's
Becky
return.
Return
In and of itself. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say, dun 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 dun. The return of Brock was an underhype of the night because we didn't.
Nothing was mentioned. There wasn't even any hints or anything.
Yeah, I mean, with
aside from the dirt sheets, but
well, with Becky, it's been every pay-per-view for the past yeah.
Mm-hmm. He was just trying to say you do it bad.
That's what he was talking about.
Yes, that's what I was talking about.
His tone is
Becky,
just really bad.
With Becky, we've had rumors of her returning
Yeah.
on almost every pay-per-view over the last 5 months, right?
Because she was the one trolling, and then this one she didn't post.
Yep, she's
anything.
been trolling since WrestleMania.
Yep.
And then she didn't for this one, so I think it probably still wins. But with Brock, the last thing we saw Brock, he was helping out at a meat counter, you know. It had nothing to do with wrestling whatsoever, and it's like, oh, here he is, and everything.
Look
And
at that cool stupid ponytail.
yeah, his ponytail's almost as shitty as mine, so I guess almost. I still win shitty. I don't actually have it in a ponytail right now, but it's the same sort of thing. Anyways, but we probably weigh about the same. I'm just 5'7" and round.
And he's 6'4", and he looks like he's actually bulked up.
Yeah. Oh, he definitely. Well, and I don't know.
He's probably 30 pounds heavier. I mean, it's just crazy.
I don't know if he's necessarily heavier or just thinner, like around the waist.
Could be. He just looked bigger. I was like, dude.
Because in his previous times here on WWE, he's been kind of like shoulders and then waist. It comes in a little bit, but he's round at the waist. But here it was like shoulders, waist. It was like big old V now.
It was like,
so I don't know if he's added a whole lot of muscle up here or just lost a whole lot of the chubby down here. But one way or another, he looked fucking jacked.
The meat counter that you saw that picture of, yeah, he ate that whole cow.
Yeah. Probably killed
Only
it with
took him 2
hands.
days. Yeah, bare hands.
Just ripped it apart. He butchered it with his bare hands, no knife. He's just like,
I do get.
He killed him with the F5.
I get a level of excitement for him because there's not a lot more opportunity to talk about him because it wasn't that great. But I get a level of excitement for him because he's legitimate. He is of the WWE roster. If Chuck Liddell today, out of his prime as a fighter, met just about any member of the WWE roster in a dark alley and had to fight him, Chuck Liddell's still going to win. Brock, he's not going to beat. Brock is legitimately one of the top 100 most destructive human beings on the planet.
But you know, and so it's a runner-up for underhype of the night because it was also something. But I think Becky returning is the which also brings us to the next one, the OMG moment of the night. Becky returning.
No, my OMG moment is the AA from the top rope. I really was like, holy shit, Cena's going to win this.
Yeah. That
is the moment where I was like, holy crap, Cena's going to be a 17-time champion. That was my OMG moment.
There would have been an
also
OMG
Raquel's
moment.
choke slam from the middle rope.
Yeah. There would have been an OMG moment for Cena for me if they would have kept the cameras officially rolling and kept the thing going to watch.
When Brock destroyed him after.
Brock just suplexing the crap out of him. But that didn't actually happen on screen. So, yeah, I mean, for me, the OMG moment is probably Becky because that was the one that I didn't see coming specifically.
Yeah.
There weren't a whole lot of others like Damian Priest winning wasn't an OMG moment.
No.
Doudrop turning on Ava Marie was not a OMG moment.
RK Bro winning the titles, not an OMG
Bro,
moment.
OMG moment. The only OMG about that was it didn't also feature Randy Orton RKOing his partner after winning.
Right.
Like I totally expected that to happen. We won. Hey, great. Bam. RKO. Now we're partners, but I beat the shit out of you afterwards. I'm abusive.
Well, they've done that before, though.
Shinsuke's guitarist being in the ring. I went, OMG, why is he in the ring? He shouldn't be in the ring.
However, I give Pat McAfee all the fucking kudos in the world just for jamming to the freaking
He was the boobs.
But yeah, I didn't get any of those extra segments. I'm like, why are you wasting so much time? What's going on?
Yeah, that really could have been on one of the pointless moments things. Like, hey, let's have Rick Boogs play Shinsuke's music for him to come out and not do anything.
That's it. Or at least have him face like Cesaro or something. Like, whatever. Just get a match going. Give me something.
Do something. Do something.
Have Corbin come out and beg for an opportunity at the title.
Yeah.
Or the crown.
Something.
Well, he faced Big E.
Big E on the kickoff.
Big E won and got his briefcase back.
He did, however, manage to turn $30 into $100 gambling afterwards in Vegas.
He did? Yeah, he went to Vegas. Yep.
His
well, not went to Vegas. He was in Vegas.
His luck might be turning.
He was going to go get
Corbin.
a full-on meal. Yeah, it was awesome.
Okay, moving on. We've only got 2 more. Best move of the night.
Oh, I guess I kind of said that, didn't I?
Yeah, this could be the AA off of the top rope. Because in terms of moves of the night,
that was pretty devastating.
That was pretty.
Raquel's choke slam is up there.
Maybe. I guess
I
we
would
should have
say
said
busting out. Here's mine. I'm going to say busting out the handcuffs. That is a great move. It didn't win him the match, but it was a great move on his behalf.
It would have been best move of the night if he would have used it to actually win the match. Because here's the deal: is it's a cage match. The whole thing is you lock them up and you go to the other side and you climb out and they can't stop you and you win.
That's legit. That would have worked.
Yeah. That would have worked. But instead, you lock him up, and then you decide to try to beat him some more, and then
but not with the chair that's in the ring. No. With your foot.
Or with the
that's
kendo
injured.
stick, or your injured leg. That sounds like a good thing.
Yeah,
poor decision.
So we didn't talk about it in the worst because it didn't belong in the worst, but. That was the head scratcher moment for me, is the way that match ended, right? It was such a great first 2 falls and 90% of the third fall, and just the ending was underwhelming to me.
Yeah, I didn't get what was going on. I'm like, but you handcuffed him. What?
I was like, oh, but he was able to put the ankle lock on with the one, and I'm like, it was underwhelming. And I don't know, maybe if they would have stretched it out a little bit longer before he submitted, right? Him fighting, and showing agony, and then finally, I can't take it anymore, and I tap, or whatever. Maybe it was just he tapped too quick. But at the end, I was like, wait, it's done? That was it?
Is there another match coming? What's going on?
No.
Is there another fall?
Yeah, wait. Okay. So the final category, match of the night.
I think JLB and I agree on this. Walter Dragunov. Hands down, the match of the weekend. My eyes could not be peeled off of it. I had to pee and I waited.
And it was long.
Good.
It was a long match too, but it was
so
worth every
good.
minute.
Oh. Every time Walter wound up for one of his chops, I was just like, oh,
I don't know how Dragunov took those chops. Yeah, I don't know.
That hit him in the neck. I think he
was so hyper all the time.
Yeah,
he was so hyper all the time. He's like, "Yeah, I'm back at it." I'm like, "Oh my god, bro, why aren't you like down there?"
I'm not going to disagree with you on this because again, I 100% give Dragunov and Walter both all the kudos in the world for their skill, right? I've given Daniel Bryan matches.
But you're going to say Seth and Edge.
No, I'm going to agree with you. That was the match of the weekend,
Holy
right?
Shit. Okay.
I just like I say from an absolute match standpoint, I can't argue with that, right? I just can't get into him, right? And so in the long run, it's not going to make me decide to start tuning into NXT UK because
that I won't do.
Because he's
time.
champion, but I'm like, nah.
Because time,
right?
Yeah,
and thing is, I don't know NXT UK well enough to know if there was someone on their roster that I might.
Well, everybody you knew about is now actually on WWE. Like, I think Walter is coming over to the States now. I think he's finally been
I don't
bought.
think so, though. No, because I think he still wants to stay kind of like he doesn't want to be a permanent resident kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
He 100% has said he has no interest in being uh, on main roster
Yeah.
whatsoever. No interest in. So let's see here. List of WWE personnel from NXT UK.
The
Let's see
UK
if I.
branding isn't the revamp. Rather, has nothing to do with UK. That's just going to stay the same, or
We don't know, but for the most part, I think NXT UK is just a
okay, fair.
afterthought. Noam Dar, I like him. I recognize that name on this. Jordan Devlin, we know, and he's really good. Flash Morgan Webster, we got to see a few times, and I like him. Tyler Bate and Trent Seven, I like, so I can definitely say on those. But then there's a lot of people here that I'm like, I don't know them very well. So yeah.
And then now Walter and Dragunov.
Oh yeah.
Except not Dragunov because you don't like him.
I can say I know Joseph Connors a bit because he used to team with Joe Hendry, and so my ringtone is play Joe Hendry's music, which has and Joseph Connors. But that's about it. But yeah, I mean, here's the deal. It's in the end, it was a phenomenal match. I can't argue with that. I'm just not into Dragunov's character. I'm not into him, so it doesn't draw me to watch more of the thing. But as a standalone match, compared to all the other matches of the weekend, yeah. If
But
Takeover
the Russian
didn't exist,
dude not being the bad guy is kind of fun.
yeah. But if Takeover didn't exist, it would be Seth versus Edge. But like I said, Takeover exists, and we're doing the whole weekend, so I can't say. However,
I think there were two on NXT that were better than Seth versus Edge, though. I also think Karrion Kross and Joe was better than Seth versus Edge. By a split hair. I mean, not by a lot. Whereas Walter Dragunov was drastically the best match of the weekend.
See, for me, the Joe versus Karrion, it drug a bit, and maybe some of it was because I knew how it was going to end. You know what I mean? Not how, but
could be
the thing. You know, there was no suspense to it because here's the deal: is the Edge versus Seth Rollins. I didn't know how that was going to end. It could have gone either way, right?
Right.
Seth could have won.
True.
Edge could have won. Either one could have been putting over the other as good. And so, in fact, I'm not even sure if I remember how I predicted it on the wrestling pool. And
Yeah, I don't know. I can't help you with that either. I don't look at them until like the next pay-per-view.
I know you don't.
I might look at them earlier this time around.
Let's see here. I predicted Seth Rollins winning by a pin, and I was wrong.
Look how wrong you were.
Well, I didn't do great, but I didn't.
You have no chance. I don't know how you suck so hard on this. Like
this year. This year I've been
Last
bad.
year you did like half the year, and you were like killing it.
Yeah,
it didn't make any sense.
I was correct on Roman Reigns, but I thought it would be submission. I was incorrect on Nikki winning, and who took the pin. I was incorrect on the Lashley versus Goldberg match only because I listened.
Yeah, you were stupid.
No, only because
Goldberg. Don't listen to my co-host.
Yeah, only because I listened to your other podcast and I was like, well, you know. And then I read and I was like, oh, well, he is right. The Goldberg has 2 matches left, so this is one of his matches. So he wins it and then loses it back. And then the other thing was, I was like, well, it doesn't look like many other people are choosing Goldberg, so this is my chance to, if I'm right, it puts me ahead of other people and makes up some ground. So I was correct on Usos. I was correct on Damian Priest. I I took a chance, and because I really didn't give a crap about the match, I was like, maybe they give Jinder the win. I don't know.
Snap.
You were so wrong.
I was wrong, but that was just me.
But I mean,
literally
to be
flipping a
fair,
coin.
he didn't know Drew McIntyre was going to wield a sword at some point.
Yeah,
Like,
I didn't
if that
figure
was going
I'd
to be a
witness
spot,
an
then-
attempted murder.
Yeah.
I was correct
Changes the
on
game.
RK Bro. I was correct on Alexa Bliss and the Dewdrop turn.
For sure.
Did we even have a mention of the 24/7 championship?
Nope.
So technically, I won that side bet.
You said no one? Or you said Reggie keeps it?
I said Reggie would still be 24/7 champion.
But if you look at your other fellow compadres that are playing, they all said the same thing. So technically, you're generic, bud. You're generic.
No, I still won it. I just won it with everyone else.
That's fair.
And
I'm the only one that won the debuts. I said Brock and Becky. Screw you all.
Yeah. I don't know if they confronted anyone giving Corbin money through the night.
No,
I
that
don't
didn't happen.
know if they even mentioned that at all. So, but one way or another.
I mean, I freaking hope not, because I'm not going to go through the whole freaking pay-per-view to try and find that out.
so someone had to give them the $30.
Oh, that's fat fudge. I hope not. Damn it. All right.
I don't know, but I don't think they showed it at all. And I said no one would give him money, so I hope no one did. Anyways, so we all agree on match of the night, surprisingly, right?
Yeah, I really thought you were going to say something else.
No, I like I said before, I appreciate his skill. I 100% agree that he's one of the better wrestlers in the world today, and I just can't get into him. I just can't. And like we've said before with Daniel Bryan, you can 100% appreciate someone as a wrestler and not like them as a wrestler. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the way it is with Dragunov for me. I see him. I appreciate his skill. I can't get behind him. So
that said, we should bring up a point that we talked an awful lot about NXT in the best, and it's about to not be the same thing.
Yes. And the thing is, I'll even say, even though we talk about it in the best, this was not even the best NXT pay-per-view of the year.
No.
And
you know
that's
what's
sad.
so messed up? To make matters even worse, Sonya Deville was on the kickoff show, and she was talking about the Belair and Banks match. Like, what?
You're the boss of the division.
Yeah, like, come on, man.
You replace Stephanie.
Straight
And
up.
Stephanie's tired from creating women, so Sonya has to maintain women's wrestling.
I guess so. That's it.
But in the end, like I said, this wasn't even top 3 of the NXT pay-per-views of this year. But the sad thing is, it's probably going to be the last of the great NXT pay-per-views.
Yeah,
And
this
maybe
is
they'll-
no takeover Brooklyn.
Yeah, man. Maybe they'll prove us wrong, but in the end, takeovers will never be the same, right? I mentioned the thing that got me watching NXT was Gargano versus Almas, right? I watched that match. I didn't watch NXT before that. I caught that match and I was like, I'm here for this. And Andrade versus Gargano is 100% not the way NXT is going.
No.
That is the epitome of
just the changing of the color and lighting in NXT is going to hurt it, because Almas looked like a big dude and Karrion Kross looked like a big dude. Like, they looked like big people because of the way the rings were set up and everything. And we've seen them on main roster with the rings being set up different, and you're like, oh, they're not as big as I thought. Without really any basis for comparison other than other big people. Like,
Yeah, they want to put more lights as well or something? They just
I don't know if it's
If you
necessarily
go-
more,
if you
but
go
they
away
said they
from
want
the
to light
black
the
ring.
arena better. Get rid of the
Yeah.
black ring, make it brighter. But I mean, some of it is if you watch a WWE show, they light the crowd because they want to show the crowd there and how big and all that stuff, right? And NXT, especially in
doesn't do
this most
that.
recent, they put the lights down on the crowd to focus the lights on the ring, and
Right.
so that's reportedly going to change.
It makes your wrestlers look bigger than life.
And then getting rid of the black ring and going back to a standard
Blue
blue
canvas.
gray canvas, all of that stuff. It's not going to be the NXT that. And here's the deal: is man, this is going to be 2 weeks in a row I talk about Enzo on this show. Enzo gave an interview, and he said people like to say AEW created a revolution in wrestling. And AEW does deserve some credit, but the revolution was created by NXT. NXT started the revolution in pro wrestling. AEW took up the mantle and ran with it. And the NXT that started that revolution is dying now.
Yeah.
And going to be replaced by more of the same.
I would contest that the revolution actually started with Impact doing a 6-sided ring. It really, I mean, that's the sowing of the seeds. Yes, more happened later, and the ones who really started to work on harvesting the product was NXT. You're right, but Impact's made us go. It doesn't have to be what it is.
There's a certain amount to that.
But that was also like what in 2004.
Yeah,
a
yeah,
bit
absolutely.
And
It's a bit
then
much.
it failed, you know. And but
Yeah.
like with NXT,
Yeah.
the big thing is it was the first time that a wrestling promotion, in this case WWE as their developmental, said we're going to focus more on the wrestling than the storylines for a bit, and that was new at the time to wrestling in this generation. And I'm gonna say it's not that it's new in the whole. I mean, New Japan has done it for a long time. It's existed, but in American wrestling, since WCW went under, and even with WCW had phenomenal wrestlers, but they focused heavily on the storyline. And NXT came along and said, we're going to prioritize work rate. We're going to bring in these phenomenal wrestlers, and we're going to have them compete. And there's going to be stories, right? But you're not going to have Duke the Dumpster Drozy on this show, right? You can have some crazy things here, but in the end, it's going to be about the wrestling. And that opened the door for AEW to come along and say, we're the best professional wrestling company on the planet. And it
We
opened
don't do sports entertainment.
yeah, and it opened the door for CM Punk to say, I am the best professional wrestler in the world.
Oh, I loved how he disregarded the WWE. He's like, when I left ROH, I left wrestling, and now August 20th, 2021, I came back to wrestling. I was
God,
like,
if only
oh
he
my
could have done
God.
that. If he could have only done that 6 weeks or 6 days, or I'm sorry, 7 days earlier on the very first Rampage. If he'd have been at the very first Rampage, it would have been 16 years to the day from when he left ROH.
I would not doubt that AEW hoped for that to happen, but couldn't get the deal done in time, and so that's when they double booked into Pittsburgh for the first Rampage.
Yeah.
But that's because here's the deal: they announced Pittsburgh Dynamite, then Pittsburgh Rampage, and then Milwaukee Dynamite. I think it was Milwaukee. No, Milwaukee's coming up this week. Houston Dynamite, because it was Sammy Guevara's hometown.
And then Chicago Rampage.
And then they didn't announce a Rampage, and then they announced the following week Milwaukee Dynamite, and they announced a Rampage. I can't remember where it's going to be, but they left this blank second week Rampage, and they announced then the Chicago Rampage for right before All Out. So they announced other Rampage, but they left this Rampage blank. And I think it was because they wanted Chicago to be the first Rampage and they couldn't make it work, but they were dead set on trying to make it work for the second week.
You guys really know how to make a fella feel like Britt Baker in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
There's so and us mentioning Dynamite this week, I feel like because this always replaces our regular wrestling roundup show where we talk about crimes and all of that stuff, and I feel like it is very much important for us to say another huge moment in professional wrestling was Sammy Guevara in his hometown getting a victory against Sean Spears on the same night that he gets engaged.
That's really cool. Yeah,
it was really cool, and I was watching it with my wife, and you could tell that his now fiance had no idea that it was coming. And Sammy has grown so much as a performer in not in the ring, because he has in that, but as a performer, as a personality, that he was able to drag that along and make it so she didn't see it coming. Because he was able to say, thanks to all my fans, thanks to all this stuff. Can't even thank my fans without also thanking the person who's been by my side, my girlfriend. She's right out there. In fact, I tell you what, come up into the ring. I want everyone to thank you for being by my side. And she comes up into the ring, and you can tell she doesn't, like most girls at this point, would probably be spotted. Wait, why is he calling me into the ring? Right. But because he played it off as I'm thanking my fans, I'm thanking all of this stuff, he was able to keep it going long enough for him to propose to her in the ring there. But this does get a wrestling crime from me because it makes my wife look at me and punch me in the shoulder and say, why couldn't you have proposed to me like that?
Because I'm not a professional
wrestler. I'm not world
and I don't have a sexy body like Sammy Guevara does. I can't woo you.
And I can't hit the 630.
Whoa. Until you've seen him in his nothings. Don't you talk. Also, wrestling misdemeanor to the fans in Houston for singing every single lyric to Judas.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool, though. That must have been really epic
awesome.
For Jericho.
It's one of those things. AEW this week one-upped themselves. If the CM Punk thing didn't happen at the end of the week, which we knew it was probably going to happen, yada, yada, yada. But if it didn't happen, right, we would be talking about Jericho losing to the final challenge thing with an armbar. We would be talking about them singing Judas all the way to the ring. We'd be talking about Sammy Guevara. We'd be talking about all of the cool stuff that happened on Dynamite. We'd be talking about Sting's first match back in a ring, on TV.
Taking a powerbomb through a table and hopping up like he was...
hopping up,
22.
We'd be talking about all of this stuff, but we're not.
2.0 getting signed, baby. Woo!
Someone here is excited about that.
This guy.
Someone.
The only thing I want is I want 2.0. I want Young Bucks to finish up their thing with the tag belts and lose their tag belts to Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy and everything. And then I want a feud of the old school Young Bucks with the tassels and all of that stuff versus 2.0.
I'd be down for
tassels and all of that stuff. And what I want them to do,
tassels get tangled together in the match.
And what I want them to do is film that with a 1990s era VHS camera, right? And present it in 4x3, right? With the graininess. And use only period music for it, like Whitesnake and
here I go again on my own with my tag partner.
And that I want a cinematic match that looks like it's from a time capsule. Like, hey, look at this, we found this match. It's 2.0 versus the Young Bucks from 1998.
I'd be kind of cool with them
even the Rockers versus the Rock and Roll Express.
Yeah,
exactly. But But that's the deal is that, and then they just one upped themselves, and now all we can talk about is fucking CM Punk. But
I
it
had the
was
pleasure of talking to people all week long because obviously you guys know as podcasters that there are people who are like, "Oh, so did you see CM Punk?" Nope, I missed it. I have a wrestling podcast, but I missed it. So anyway, I had to talk to a bunch of people
just happened
about
to miss the biggest thing of the week.
But I think Smarks is with me on this. If I remember right from all of our past conversations, CM Punk lands in the same category with Daniel Bryan on a very different side. I don't. CM Punk's okay in the ring. He's a B+ in the ring. But I got everything I want from CM Punk on Friday night. Like, that's what he does better than anybody else. There's maybe one talker who could be considered better than him, and that's The Rock.
Yeah. I was bigger on him in the ring, but he was in Ring of Honor when I was away from WWE and watching other things and dabbling. And so I saw him in that. And then I saw him come to WWE in his early days, the Straight Edge Society days. And I enjoyed him. And I'm a fan of him in the ring. But again, he's also one of the best talkers out there. I do want to point out in conjunction with it, and I'm going to preface this by saying I 100% understand that Roman Reigns is going to say stuff to build up his own company because he's a company man and he's trying to sell his pay-per-view where he had a match against John Cena. But in an interview, he talked about it and he said CM Punk was never as over as The Rock or as John Cena.
That shit was dumb, though. Like, yeah.
And I get it. He's a company man and all that stuff. But I want to point out, and I mentioned this to you guys, that in the year following CM Punk's leaving WWE, they lost 1.5 million viewers on average week to week, right? On average, 1.5 million less people watched after CM Punk was let go. And yes, there were other things that probably happened to cause people to stop watching, but a large chunk of that 1.5 million people who stopped watching was people who were like, if CM Punk's not here, I'm not watching. Is that as over? I mean, we'd have to go back. I could do the math to figure out after The Rock left how much it dropped. I mean, WWE has been on a steady decline ever since, though, because at the beginning, when CM Punk was there, the 4 weeks prior to his last match, they averaged like 4.5 million viewers a night on Raw, right? And they don't even average 2 million now, so it's just continued to trend downward for them ever since then. Now, is that can we attest all of that to CM Punk? No, we can attest.
No, some of that's DVR.
Yeah, some of it's to the fact that the last 2 years have been shitty writing. In fact, I would argue a lot of it's the last 2 years have been shitty writing.
Over the last 2 years, yes.
Yes.
But initially, some of that's DVR. I mean, some of that's the advent of DVR. Yeah.
But even more than that, it's like, I remember in 2019 and 2018 even, before we had started this podcast, you and I, Babe, we're talking, and we were like, this has got to be some of the worst WWE writing
absolutely.
that we've ever seen, and we couldn't imagine it getting worse, and we were wrong. We were very wrong. And
then the Fiend lost to Seth Rollins in a Hell in a Cell match by ref stoppage.
That's about the point.
Then they decided to shove Dominic Mysterio down our throats.
Poor Dom.
Oh,
never get a break.
Yeah, Fabe, he got me up. Did you?
Sorry,
Smarks. I called you me. Jesus,
I called you me. All right, I guess that means it's time to wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen.
So yeah, we will go ahead and wrap things up, though. We've talked for 2.5 hours about professional wrestling. And we hope you enjoyed our talking for 2.5 hours about professional wrestling.
It's a good time. There's a lot to talk about, though. So
There was a whole lot to talk about. In fact, to be perfectly honest, we went through it a lot faster than we probably could have. We could still be talking about
really?
things, but
Look, we definitely
just
could
gotta
still be
wake up
talking about
early.
the fact that Becky winning in 27 seconds does not hurt that at all.
Yeah, it's fair. I could have talked about that for 3 hours. So
talked about how it does hurt it. But we will go ahead and close things up. Yeah. Here's the deal is, I may be on the wrong side of the wrestling fans on lots of things like Dragunov and all of this stuff, but I guarantee you, right, the average listener out there to this podcast is going to be more on my side and JLB's side on this than they are on DA Fabe's side for this. So, that
bring
was...
it.
They can tweet right there at DA Vincent K. Fabe. I won't read it, so fuck off.
Yeah, he won't. He certainly won't respond to it.
We'll make him read it. We'll definitely make him read it.
Yeah, they'll be like, hey, on Tuesday, they'll be like, just so you know, on your Twitter, somebody said, you're an idiot.
I will actually print it out. I will fold it up, put it in an envelope. I will put a stamp on it, and I will mail it to you so that you can open it.
So I can read it in 3 weeks.
Smart sent me something. What was this?
Oh, it's a birthday card. Nope.
Someone said I sucked on Twitter. That son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And I'll respond about Christmas time.
Now I need to make a shirt.
Also,
that is a letter that says someone said I sucked on Twitter.
Signed, Sasha Bear. Sasha Bear.
Well, at least we got some good ones tonight. Some more T-shirt ideas.
I'm really pumped. We've got some serious shirts coming out. We got the cop boat shirt coming out probably in about a month. I'm gonna guess 2 weeks to a month.
It's gonna take a few. It's design intensive for me, but
Smarks just released the autograph shirt that we conceptualized a week and a half ago. A week ago.
It was about a week ago.
Let
me see
and
if it's already showing up on the Facebook.
He will be releasing this week one we conceptualized yesterday. That he finished tonight. It looks fantastic for a Pissant podcast. So that's pretty exciting.
Why did we decide to do the Pissant podcast thing?
Because we wanted to be a Pissant t-shirt company too, but we don't want to copy AEW for being a Pissant t-shirt company.
Right.
That killer 16-minute 37-second promo was done by a Pissant t-shirt company.
It sure were.
The killer 32-minute conversation about Becky Lynch was done by a Pissant podcast.
So, by the way, also fun little fact, the ice cream bars that were given at the end of the show were actually all by CM Punk.
Yep. Paid for by CM Punk.
Paid for by CM Punk. So that was pretty badass of him.
God, I hope he has a track of time that shows that WWE paid him to pay for those. Like, this is WWE money right here, just so you know. That paid for your ice cream bars. I wrote the check in 2015.
Well, there was something they wanted to do like 2 years ago or something.
Yeah,
Smarks told me that earlier.
Yeah, he came up with the idea and went to that company and arranged for it in Chicago. Yeah, it's a Chicago company. Arranged for it 2 years ago and said, whenever I come back to wrestling, we are doing this. And yeah. Let's see.
And they done did it.
Do I want to show? We will do. Hey, what's your favorite color, Fabe?
Green, but I wouldn't wear a green shirt.
He's like, damn it.
Zello
I wear black shirts.
And we're going to be going
Okay,
to the Zello
like-
Pro show.
So green's
So-
fine.
So here's what
I'll
we
get them
got
ordered
here.
tonight. I told you as soon as it's over.
I want the
Orange.
fans to see. I want the fans to see.
So we're gonna
the new
wear the
design.
same color. Oh, okay.
Oh,
So just order
Jesus.
There we go.
That is
you
a
could-
really bright green.
That's a
That's an
Zello
old-
Pro green.
That's an old picture of
you
me
could-
from when I was a
You
lot
can
lighter.
also get it in a less bright green.
Oh, there you go. That's better.
You can get it in any of these colors. So, you want it in red? There you go. Red.
Nice.
Going to a Raw, you probably ought to get
Yeah.
the red one.
You want it in blue?
Going to a SmackDown, that's not SmackDown blue.
That's not quite SmackDown blue.
No.
This is probably
That's-
SmackDown.
There we go,
There you
SmackDown
go.
blue. Yep.
Going
to an NXT, there's a yellow.
Yeah. Let's see. Do we,
Oh, that yellow looks
green, so we'll do
horrible.
this
That one right there.
yellow.
That's it.
It's so bright.
You wanted to go to an NXT now that they suck? You put on khaki.
That's a good one.
Going to AEW,
Yeah,
they don't have gold shirts.
Yeah, but you could do a black shirt
Or yellow,
that.
black or yellow.
or yellow.
Black and yellow, black and yellow.
Black and yellow. And that's just this,
you know what it
this
is.
particular design. This particular shirt. I've got a dozen different options of shirts, and each of them has a bunch of different color options. But that
So-
right there is what the design looks like. So you can get that. You can fill out whatever event you're going to. You can put the date on it. You can put whatever. And there's plenty of room for as many people as you can to
Signatures.
sign it there. Boom, 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 boom. Sign, 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 sign.
So,
And
like, if
then-
you're going to an AEW event, you get all the wrestlers, and then just because Colt Cabana always does autographs, you just have him sign in the margins. Because,
Yep.
you know,
You sign
Ran out
wherever.
of
Or,
space.
if you know you're going to a big one, get multiple shirts.
ooh,
Eh?
Or you can
WrestleMania,
customize,
night one, night
or you can customize the back of your shirt.
You sure can.
two. Put an autograph on front and on back. That's
I am
crazy.
So glad someone mentioned that. Because you can customize the shirts on this.
There you
And you
go.
can go, hey.
We are very excited about this particular shirt. It's a fun one for all of us going to wrestling
I mean,
events.
I don't know who I'm gonna get signed, but I want one just in case. Like, I don't know.
That day you meet PCO, aren't you jacked for that?
No, definitely not Jack to me.
No.
PCO. I could give
Yeah.
two shits.
And
Oh,
you go
PCO.
customize.
Okay, cool story, bro. Get the fuck out of here.
Just get out a marker and just write PCO.
I'm sorry, PCO. I don't have any coke
No.
around. My bad, bro.
I want to.
You're not gonna like me as a fan.
And I am going to put that also on the back.
Bam.
Let's make it as
Boom.
big as it allows it on the back. So you have plenty of room. Boom.
Boom. A boom.
And now you've got it on the front and the back. You
Like
go,
a
boom,
boss.
Get price. Only $23.49 in America, plus shipping.
Whoa.
How much was it before the 23?
Well, let's go back. Let's cancel.
Because I felt like it was 23.
No, it's a $2 upcharge for the
Yeah,
backs.
$2 upcharge because I
Oh,
chose,
that's not bad.
Chose this one.
I've bought several
I-
shirts from our website.
But so for that one, it
You
was a
mean
little bit
our
more, 'cause I think it was
fans
this one.
brought several shirts?
Yeah, someone
No, I
you know.
bought them too.
So,
I've also
someone
bought
you
'em.
know bought a bunch, right? That was a
I bought
$3
two.
upcharge, a $3.50 upcharge, but
Okay.
but it's still
Oh, okay. That's still not bad.
not too bad at all. So
Can you do the other designs on the back?
you can
So I
actually
could have-
do that.
I could have not a
nice.
cop and the signature shirt.
You sure could. Like, say you wanted this one
What?
here. We're going to choose a different model here, right? $20.99 with it. It's actually the same guy, but, you want it, and you're going to get it in this blue, right? You're going to be going to
SmackDown. Yep.
right? So you come here, and you go customize,
Hey,
and you say, I want to customize. I want to put something on the back. You go designs. That's my click. And you go not a cop.
Which one?
Probably not the greatest in blue. Yeah.
Probably not the greatest for blue. Yes, you are correct.
Maybe we don't do not a cop. We could do.
Yeah, we're gonna
do the
Ron
wrestling
Order
belt one.
we're gonna get rid of
on
that
the
one.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah, wrestling
We're-
belt on the back.
we're gonna
Because
on
we're
the back-
different.
Wrestling cops. That's what I would do.
Yeah, we'll do this one on the back. Okay.
Oh,
And again,
nice. That works.
We'll make it big. Big there.
I'm not going to say that I have that sticker on my vehicle, but I have that sticker on my vehicle.
And here, you can even go like here. We go get price here, $25.49. So that's a $5 or $4.50 upcharge, right? But but here, let's go crazy. Let's go to here, and we're gonna put a design on the shoulder here. And for this one, we are going.
None of them
to-
work.
Nope, none of them work because they're not the right format. Or maybe we got too many. Does it not allow more than one extra? Let's do this. Let's find out. Just for the sake of figuring this out, because I'm just pointing out you're not limited to just. Nope, none of them work for the shoulder. They're all too big.
Our formats aren't for shoulders.
Apparently, our formats
Sorry
aren't
about
for
that,
shoulders.
folks.
No,
But you can customize your own text.
but you could. So you could. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. We'll say we're gonna put the wrestling cops on the back, right?
And then on the right, we're going to say Zello Pro 2021.
Or
At
Smackdown.
RyanOrder.wbu. Sasha Bear.
Sasha Bear.
You might have to
Kind
give
of
a little
wish we had
spacey
baseball
poo.
jerseys.
yeah, we're gonna have to do.
Raw and Order.
Oh, there you go. Kind of weird to have on a sleeve, but whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
Whatever boats your float.
Big. We're gonna stick.
Oh, there you go. That kind of works.
Right. We're gonna
kinda
change
weird.
the font because we want it to be a cooler font. Let's see. What would be a fun font? That
Okay, can we
almost
wrap
looks-
this up?
Did you just say fun font? Fun
Yeah.
font.
Fun font. Fonts can be fun. That first one looks like it's a bad. There we go. We're gonna use that Halloween Town.
There we go.
Oh, but
Not
doesn't
bad.
let us make it small enough there, but that's fine.
Perfect.
It's gonna make
Great
the
job.
Font a little smaller. It won't let us make it smaller. It won't let us make it any smaller. Okay, we can't use Halloween Town. Okay.
You know what we can use? A break from the podcast and finish it up.
Yeah.
You can't make
Yeah,
use
we
the-
can.
then we go get
fans. So fans, great news! You can go customize this for yourselves.
You can put your name there, right? Like I put on the back of this shirt.
True.
Does your shirt say Smarks?
It sure do.
Whoa! Whoa!
I don't know if you can see it from the thing. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, we saw it.
If we had legitimate baseball jerseys, Sasha Banks would be getting a Sasha Bear jersey from us.
You better believe.
I would
It's
send
the
it to
one
her.
thing I wish our spread shop had was the actual
Big comfy baseball
big
jerseys.
comfy baseball jerseys, the button front jerseys.
Yep.
But anyways, we will go ahead and wrap this up. We've talked a lot about our merch store and all that stuff. Link is in the doobly-doo. Patreon's in the doobly-doo. All of that stuff down there. You can follow us on the social media. You can follow me at Raw and Order WBU, just like you see down there on there. Or in the doobly-doo. You can follow D.A. Fabe.
At DA Vincent Kayfabe. Again, I apologize. I probably won't respond in a timely fashion.
And then you can follow JLB.
If he doesn't respond, JLB sure will, and you can find me at JLB420. Real Talk Radio, though, is the brand. Haven't done much, but we're also doing a little wrestling talk now. Just kind of more a newsy kind of thing, rather than a crime kind of thing. So We also have that at WTN Wrestling with everything else. But I haven't done anything with Real Talk Radio, but it's still there. Anchor.fm/RTR.
You just dogged on me, and you're too busy to show up for your podcast 3 weeks straight.
Listen, between school with the design bullshit, I have to get my stage now and shit. I'm not even ready with my portfolio. I am
Maybe
screwed,
sleep
good
instead
sir.
of tweet. Sleep instead of tweet, bud.
Maybe sleep instead of podcast. Huh?
Nope, that's not an option.
No, you're
That's not
already
an
doing
option.
that one. You're already doing that one.
That's not an option. But we'll go ahead and close the book on the wrestling booking unit. For those who joined us on the live stream, thank you. If you're not on the live stream, try to make it. It's tons of fun, and we'll answer your questions if you have them, or we'll let you book a crime, maybe. Who knows? So join us on that every Sunday night at 10:30, every Tuesday night at 10:30. Both those times are central. I understand it's late, but it's worth it. Stay up with us. Have fun.
Nope. Becky Lynch wasn't in Footloose. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Becky Lynch wasn't in Footloose.
She wasn't in Footloose. So
Nope. Becky Lynch wasn't in Footloose. Nope.
I mean, but you're right.
But she wasn't.
She wasn't in Footloose. Nope.
No.
You're correct. You are
Yeah.
Anyways, on that note, thank you all for listening.
Close this freaking book.
You